Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. Today is April 11th. It is a Monday and we are very pleased to be here. Welcome to those who have joined us on air and welcome to those who have joined us online, including our beautiful young intern who is working from home today. Good morning, Eden.
I miss your presence, Eden.
I was about to tell her, Pastor crying. And all the guests who love your voice so much are back to having Lloyd say morning connection. Do you even say morning connection? It's say Best FM.
Good morning. It's the
You,
morning
they,
connection. How are you today?
they will love you even more after Lloyd give them some tender care this morning. Good morning, Mr. Engineer. I'm teasing you. That's not nice, is it? But I get a beautiful smile. That is Lloyd's secret weapon. If you could see him smile, then his voice would mean a whole different thing
is
to
his
you.
secret
His
weapon?
secret weapon is his smile.
Every
Yeah.
gentleman has a secret weapon,
Yeah,
right, Mr.
man.
Producer?
Lloyd own is his smile. It's a
Somebody
beautiful
was tell me them
smile.
have a secret sauce. I don't know what that is, but
Oh,
anyway.
is who that? Is it the coconut sauce that's on the fish that you're cooking for me?
Yes, man.
That's
It was
You
on my
heard-
mind this morning, and I said,
Really?
yes.
That fish must be a turbot.
I tell you. Oh, the producer said the fish is a turbot.
Oh, wow.
But good morning to those
Good
who are,
morning to
are
those
in the house with us and Pastor Percival. We are shameless. But last week, it was all about shameless audacity.
Keep on asking,
So, I'm practicing it. Good morning. We are very pleased to be back here with you. We are your company, but you are the wind beneath our wings. Dare I
You
get
make us
poetic?
thrive in the morning, and
Um,
he's making signs,
the producer.
Producer, look like you could learn sign language well, and I can
actually
require
thought-
your services.
I thought he was dancing.
Oh,
So
you
glad
mean the
you-
one that the electric boogie?
Signs on one. So I mean,
Ah.
you wonder what I'm doing.
I love that. But it is interesting in this time with all of what is happening. Good morning. I didn't say good morning. Good morning to those who are up and about today. It is indeed a good day to be alive as we are in the last stretch, people would call it, towards Holy Week in the Christian calendar.
Okay.
And it will be an interesting week for those of us who are of the Christian faith in terms of what it really means for us. And it coincides with Passover for the Jewish persons in terms of what they're celebrating. And they continue to draw the parallel. I guess they can understand as for them when they were coming out of Egypt, and Egypt to them meant the place of limitations, and then they were free. break out of limitations into an area that has no limitations, which is where God wants us to operate. Because when you begin to connect with the infinite, your infinite connects with the infinite, what happens?
It's infinite.
Right.
Oh, that's just a
Right.
random guess.
No, that's a random guess, but you are walking in the freedom because the word of God says it is for freedom. That is why Christ came. Can you imagine that?
I certainly can, and I thank you for that wonderful
Yeah, it's for freedom.
segue
It is
into.
for freedom. It is for freedom. And when they came, Jesus came and says, I have fulfilled the law. And so, having fulfilled the law, he opens up a new era for them to operate with it. That is why we have the Holy Spirit. That is why we operate in this new covenant, a covenant that has no limitations, because now we have come back into relationship with the God of the universe. And what that means is that what bound you before, whether it was your thought patterns, whether it was what people said about you, you are now free to become all of what God has intended for you to become and to be. So it says, don't allow people. I think he was speaking to the Galatians. Don't allow them to put this back on you, because it is for freedom. That's why Christ has made you free.
On Palm Sunday,
Yes.
um, I was being very dramatic
You had
in.
palms. You had palms. You gateway and people were waving and that kind of stuff.
No, I was not that dramatic.
You disappoint me, my friend.
Well, I'm glad that I am not as predictable as you think I am.
No, sir.
Disappointment comes from.
I have never thought you were a predictable person.
Then why were you disappointed?
No, because I thought you'd go all the way and be very dramatic. Just put in all of what is needed,
How is it needed?
in terms of the palms and the donkey and all of that, and then you ride and the donkey coming in.
Lord have mercy. Oh, all right, let me distract you by just saying good morning to Earl Brown and to Tony Greed. Greetings, Miss Minette and Pastor. Blessed Monday morning to you all. Bless.
It's the blessed Monday
Greetings we're
morning,
getting.
even though it's wet outside. Yeah.
All right, but no, on a serious note, on Palm Sunday, which was yesterday, um, in our family time, devotion, worship, I got very dramatic.
Oh,
That is that's where we were. And I was encouraging, the young ones in the room to just imagine what it was like and to examine the socioeconomic conditions of the day when Jesus was entering um, Jerusalem riding on a donkey. And I said, many of us don't give a lot of thought to
what it meant.
the community and the status of the people to whom Christ ministered. We talk about the word ghetto and Jews living in ghettos and so on and so forth. But understand that at the time Jesus walked the earth, his tribe, his people, were under military, political, economic oppression. They were a step up from slaves in the sense that they were free to work and to practice their religion, and it was understood that as people in a country or community under occupation, they had tribal sovereignty, let's call it that, because I want to talk about that too. Yet they lived in depressed conditions, most of them. And we talk about Palm Sunday without considering if you were having a gala event to welcome a visiting important person into your community, you would seek to put out your best. Just think of Jamaica, even in our circumstances, when our athletes are returning from, triumphant performance, high quality performance in any international field. when they return, the float and the music and, something happening in some place of importance, maybe at King's House, or do you know what I'm saying? We put out our best. Funds are earmarked to handle the celebrations. Jesus, who had been serving, healing the sick, ministering to the poor folk of his time, and in dialogue with the high flying political members of his own community,
In
whom
the
we
first
know
internet.
didn't receive him well, was coming into the city. And when we come back from the break, we're going to look at how he was received. And then we're going to draw some parallels with our situation in Jamaica. And this morning, we are going to be speaking about freedom. What is the quality of this freedom to which we are called? And how do we live in it? Please stay with us. This is the Morning Connection. We'll be right back.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi star?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose your problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
Wow, you big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
I try and call cause trust me.
Winters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
What a relief.
Youths, are you stressed? Are you faced with trauma? Well, this is the program for you. Join Royton McLaren for Youth Resilience and Empowerment every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. on Best 100.5 FM.
Easy! Let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, lies prefer to truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Don, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith. God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record Label at Gmail. Almighty Jah!
You understand?
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best FM.
Welcome back to The Morning Connection, and may I say good morning to Conrad. Not sure what Conrad is calling a cult, but suffice it to say, we acknowledge your presence, brother. To all those who had birthdays while we were off air, we say happy birthday to you from the Morning Connection family. I know there were one or two of us who were celebrating birthdays. What has made you smile now, Pastor? You're reading what Conrad wrote? He said, not African cult equals culture. Black people don't burn palm tree and make cross on forehead. Away Palm Sunday.
Does he consider the Ethiopians
Palm Sunday,
Africans?
But we're not going into that.
Yeah, we know it does understand.
We're talking about concepts
bit
of
of
freedom.
freedom, yeah.
And you very rightly pulled forward the big one.
The big one. Galatians
You go.
5:1. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm. That sounds like something that we all know. Stand firm.
So like a political slogan of a time back.
Yesteryear, do not let
But we are reprising
yourselves
it.
be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. And it is so very important. I spoke to the fact that this week represents what happened in the Jewish calendar in terms of Passover. But Passover for them represented freedom, removal of shackles, that they could be free to worship and to become what God wanted them to be. Go ahead, my sister.
And it also represents death to the Egyptians.
Aye.
The
But
Egyptians you see today,
yes.
not see
The
them
slave
again.
masters you
So
see today.
you will not see them again.
Mhm.
All right, let me just kind of make a statement of where we're going this morning. It is necessary to interrogate the concept of freedom to the point where we ourselves become uncomfortable,
With being slaves.
meaning to say, or understanding of it, or willingness to explore it and to challenge the areas of it that make us uncomfortable. We need to step into the conversation and be, as Galatians 5:1 said, we need to stand firm on some principles. But then first we need to know what those principles are. So I have been thinking quite a bit about freedom. What is this freedom that we pursue? This freedom for which we are even prepared to give up personal freedoms. A bit circular, but yes, freedom comes at a cost. And if we are prepared to pay it, on the other side of that exchange, we can then be truly free. I want to understand it better, and I want to promote a conversation about it because many things are tied up in it. We are talking about the leadership of the Commonwealth. Jamaica itself is putting forward a candidate to be the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. What is this Commonwealth League of Nations, or what is it? Why do we desire to be a part of it? I would like Jamaicans to consider the history of it, to look at how it has been used, what role it has played, and to take a decision on the future relevance of it and why it is that Jamaica should seek to go deeper in that direction as opposed to another direction, because we do have the freedom to choose these things. On the other side of it, I am equally concerned about our personal freedoms, how those freedoms are protected, what is truly guaranteed in this construct that we call state and nation of Jamaica. And I'm concerned that not enough of us are contributing to a better understanding of these concepts by more of us, by the majority of us. We have imposed limitations on each other, on ourselves, and on the systems that govern us, such that the freedom we currently enjoy is of a very poor quality. Obviously, freedom of speech is what allows me to be so bold in making these statements. And even as I think about it, I understand that there is a very fine line between what one would call treasonous or disruptive statements and a fair, intellectual, well intentioned discourse. I am having an internal conversation about freedom. I'm having it, and I'm inviting others to step into that conversation with me. So I want to look at different types of freedom, personal freedoms, the ones that are caught up in the recognition given by our Constitution. I want to look at financial and economic freedoms. What are the limitations within which we operate, within which we enjoy those personal freedoms? I can say that I am free to travel anywhere in the world, but can I actually do it?
No, you can't.
Do I have the resources to do it? Are there relationships across borders that allow me to do it? Then political and social freedoms will come up for specific mention. These are amongst the personal freedoms that are guaranteed by our Constitution. And perhaps the one that I want to start with is what I am going to describe as religious freedom. And I'm starting with that one because the anchor for personal freedoms comes with the design, the construct into which we are born in this world or created in this world. That is the foundation, I think, of all things. Why am I on this path? I think our Thursday show, which, on Thursdays we really don't interact with the public, so sometimes there are a lot of questions coming out of what happens on Thursday, which we have to take into Monday. I was reflecting greatly on the conversation with the president and as an entertainer, the man called Sizzler. We've got several requests for a copy of the interview, and so as we were editing, I listened to some parts of it again, and I believe that those who are listening conscientiously might still be unpacking or just reviewing and chewing on some of the stronger points that he made as he spoke.
But I found instructive
Mhm.
about the interview, and I reflected on it, is how he said what we do really comes out of the spiritual.
Sorry, say that again. Conrad said something funny. Conrad says, "Don't follow me. I am just fire. Don't add fuel to me."
No, but
The fireman.
when he was reading the documents,
Mhm.
people may have seen it. He had a whole lot of documents.
Yeah, those on radio wouldn't.
Yeah, but
So it's good to explain
that
as
he had
well.
a lot of documents that he was quoting from and referring to. So a lot of people believe that they do not spend time in terms of working through intellectually what it is that they're saying. But what was very clear to me with all of what he shared, it begins with, you call it religious freedom, the spiritual. They recognize that everything, the political, the economic, goes back to a philosophical understanding of the spiritual and how it is. People always say, "Oh, no,
So
leave personal,
the-
only left this personal thing on the yard, no depend on public radio." I've gone into into patwa because that's what a lot of people call and say to us a lot of time.
No,
but I
more like
keep,
two persons.
no,
But they say it a lot.
they say it a lot, right?
So it feels
But
like
I'm
a
just
lot of
saying to them,
people.
you see the we need to understand that everything we do comes out of the spiritual. It is what forms it, it is what instructs it, and out of that philosophical understanding, I call it a worldview, then you will act.
So in the beginning,
Yes. In the
in the
beginning.
beginning, right. When I say religious freedom, I want to define it. I want to define it. And because when it comes to religion, we are thinking God centered.
Yes.
No, it is not to say that. Let me look at it this way. One of the callers asked you, what did they ask? If there's only one God? He asked you something about God, and in the conversation, we had to sort of broaden the base and say there are many gods, but there's only one true God. So religion and religious structures and beliefs center around worship of a deity or entity or who is divine to the worshiper. It can be your money, it can be your power, it can be the one true God who declared himself as being the creator. And many of us come to know him in different ways, but it's the one true God. And many of us are agreed that there is only one true God, but our understanding of who he is, how he behaves, and what he does and what he requires of mankind may be different. But we say one true God. That one true God, for me, requires something of us in the form of our worship. And it is not blood sacrifice or human sacrifice. It is not through things that do not impact the rest of his created world. Best statement of it is perhaps in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 27, where James, it is summed up.
Pure.
Religion that is pure and faultless is this: look after orphans and widows in their distress, and keep oneself from being polluted by the world. So when I say religious freedom, I am talking about the system or the context in which individuals seek to do those things. The first requirement is to give care to those who have no one to stand for them. And it takes me back to what I was explaining in my dramatic way about Palm Sunday, trying to get my young family members to stand in the moment and just look around that day and see with realistic eyes what was really taking place, what was described, how it was described. The first part of it is the events of that day seem to have been orchestrated and could be tied back to prophecy hundreds of years old. And this is from the book of Zechariah,
Right.
where Zechariah
See your
announced,
king
"See,
come."
your king comes to you. He's lowly. He's riding on a donkey, and a colt, the offspring of a donkey." That description is there. We are told that Christ himself, before entering Jerusalem, gave some instructions to his disciples. He said, "Go into this town.
Talk to them,
You
man.
will see two animals. Take the animals. And if you are asked,"
Tell them.
my first thought was pray their larceny. Honestly, I said, "What? Take the man donkey," and a donkey was such a prized possession.
In those times.
Take these animals, and if you are asked, you must say that my master has need of them.
Master has need of it.
So I said, okay, was Christ quoting scripture or was he fulfilling scripture? He was fulfilling scripture. And I say it because when you look at the narrative,
And the context.
the donkeys were where he said they would be. So without any coordination, in other words, it was not choreographed.
Like what some of us do.
A lot of persons see things happening and regard them as being choreographed. But that was not choreographed because the animals were where he said they would be. And the instruction was to take them, not to go and ask for them, not to borrow them, not to rent them. It was to take them, and only if asked are you to give the answer. All right, that's a sideline. That's really just to put a context to it.
That a silence, a major thing.
No,
They have
that's
to
not the.
establish
When I
context.
say sideline, I mean I'm not talking about
The
prophecy and fulfillment. I'm laying out the scene of the morning. So these donkeys are delivered. The men who brought the donkeys, they didn't have no saddle. They put their cloaks on the donkey to provide some kind of barrier between Christ and the donkey. Your clothes, your own clothes. What does it take for you to? You couldn't buy a towel. You didn't have a blanket. You couldn't go by the nearest shop and get a saddle. You were poor. You were doing your best. The best you could do is take off your own garment and lay it on the donkey. And to show that everybody else were poor too, they wanted to do a red carpet. I'm calling it a red carpet. They ended up taking off their clothes and laying it on the road for Christ to have his VIP entry into the community. And then the only other thing they had to show their appreciation was to cut off the limbs of trees that were nearby. That is the poorest kind of celebration you could imagine. There was no budget for it. There was no Minister of Cultural Affairs making a provision. There was no committee sitting down to plan exactly how it would go, what route he would take and keeping. No. It was poor people spontaneously responding to the arrival of someone whose presence they thought was important to their future. And they were thinking politics. That's what they were thinking.
Yeah, because
they
it
were
became
thinking,
a political thing.
Yeah.
Because the people said, no, man, this man growing in popularity, we got to get rid of him.
No, beyond that, the Jews themselves
Wanted
were
a
thinking,
king.
this man will take us out of the oppression
From the
of the
slavery.
Romans and the enslavement to a people who are hostile to us, who don't have our best interest at heart. That is what your oppressor does. He doesn't have your best interest of heart. He is standing over you to extract from you whatever value or tribute he can. And how he does it, by fair means or foul, he has one intent.
Keep it down.
Yeah.
Under his feet.
So, let us talk about that for a moment. When the Jews were in Egypt, 430 years of slavery, the Egyptians had one intent. Take your labor, take your sweat and your blood, kill your children if that is one way to contain you and to keep you in that position. They did not mean you well. So Pharaoh and Egypt and the Egyptians that pursue you has come down over time carrying great spiritual meaning. There is always a Pharaoh, and a Pharaoh is not a blessing. And it never changes. It
It
don't
always
change.
Pharaohs.
If it call itself Commonwealth, League of Nations, is Pharaoh.
We call
If
itself
it call
UN.
itself IMF, it's Pharaoh. If it call itself United Nations, it's Pharaoh.
It's always a
It,
Pharaoh.
there's always
Call
a
itself the
Pharaoh.
World Economic Forum.
It is Pharaoh. And some people might get even more personal on the local side, but it's Pharaoh. And when you see your politics turning in a certain way, Pharaoh. Don't matter that you vote for them and you think that you're exercising some freedom in choosing them. When you see the impact they have on your life, it is Pharaoh.
When you're not being free to make choices, to flourish, to do, there's a Pharaoh.
Pharaoh.
Let me, and I reflected on that on the weekend based on a conversation we had previously, and I'm still continuing to give it some thought. Do you know, and this might shock a lot of people, God brings them out of Egypt. But even without God bringing them out of Egypt, from the very beginning, God wanted to have relationship with man one-on-one. That man could speak and get revelation, be inspired, do, and to become the best. We, by our decision, threw that off. God using the children of Israel as a type of how he wants to relate to people, brings them to a place and says, okay, I brought you out. I want to speak to you one-on-one. And guess what we do? We decide, say, no, man, make one man talk for we, because it is too much. But yet he continues to insist that I want you to walk in freedom, that we can relate together one-on-one. Isn't that amazing?
It is. It is. And
And that has been
I want to give some comfort to Conrad, who, from the first day we took this show, has said certain things about history and the record of history and so on. Conrad is reminding us that, from his perspective, that no Jews were enslaved in Egypt.
Okay.
And that is a fiction.
Okay.
For those who feel that their forward movement cannot occur without some sort of fixed knowledge of the past and exactly how it happened, sometimes what you need to do is shift from the point of uncertainty to your nearest point of certainty.
Okay.
If you cannot readily understand or embrace or accept, or you feel, or there are conflicting views and information which cause you to be in doubt, then move away from the period of doubt, the area of doubt, and go to the period or the point on which you feel some degree of certainty.
Correct.
The reason I say this is, we can sometimes get stuck at a point in a discourse simply because our mind is not giving us the freedom
Can I take the new one?
to navigate. Yes, it is. Let me tell you, that new wine, old skin discourse, it has been resonating all over the place. But yes, sometimes it is a conflict between the old and the new, and you have to sort of pick a spot, and that's a freedom you have. Pick a spot that you're comfortable with and move from there. And as you find other ways to go back and interrogate the past, sometimes you can take a decision that what's done is done, it's not relevant. You're starting from where you are. Of one thing we are sure: people from Africa were taken all over the world and enslaved.
True.
And the spirit of that enslavement is the same.
True.
No difference. So when I'm speaking here and I go as far back as into Bible knowledge, I don't need to. I can start with me. I can start with me, with the experience of my ancestors and my experience today. Because even making it personal, today I bear the imprint, the wounds, the marks of the oppression which attacked my own ancestors.
Yeah.
Me, today, in 2022, carry the scars, and they are fresh scars. The scar of being rejected, being marginalized, being shut down, being oppressed because of your views, your perspective, your personal strength, the possibility of what you could do. Many Jamaicans, I'm not singular, I'm not unique in that. Many Jamaicans
Have
are
suffered.
pregnant with ideas and potential that end up being stillborn
Yeah.
because they are not
Because of the
free.
Pharaoh system.
They are not free, and it's the same Pharaoh. Don't want to call it Pharaoh? Call it Her Majesty, the Queen of England. Because what's on my mind is very much about the Commonwealth that we continue to support, to covet, and what it represents. For me, is the Pharaoh spirit. It is unthinkable to me that any nation that aspires for true freedom for its people would continue to be nurtured or fed or coddled or whatever word you want to use by the community of persons or under the leadership of the oppressor. It's unthinkable to me. That to me is one of the greatest sleight of hand. That's what you would call it, like a three-card
Trick
trick.
That's being played. But you know,
And that we don't see it. And that today, instead of pulling away from it, we want to go deeper. Amazing.
I I understand that, but you know, I want to introduce another perspective into the whole situation and into the thinking, into the consciousness of persons. I have embraced the power and the liberation that comes from being a Christian, being a believer.
Mm-hmm.
Because in it, I'm finding principles that brings restoration to me individually, healing to me individually. But the greatest thing is freedom from shackles. The shackles are removed because in Christianity, I find that God became flesh and said to me, my son, walk with me because I'm the infinite, you are the finite. Enter into partnership and collaboration to become the best that you can be. So the principles I find therein, as I said it at the beginning, be not entangled. For freedom, I said to you
Galatians 5 verse 1.
Galatians 5:1. Do not allow for any fear of spirit to hold you back in slavery, but because you are a free person, it is for freedom that Christ has set Percival free. Stand firm. then,
So,
and do
yeah.
not let
Yourselves
Percival
be burdened again
by a yoke
of slavery.
by a yoke of Pharaoh. Because the truth is, yeah.
Earl
And somebody-
Brown.
What are the benefits of being, which is important?
I want to examine it from the political. We're coming to it. In my view, I'm not sure what benefits there are, except
I say somebody
that
can't tell
the
us
Queen
that.
continue to, and we're gonna talk about it because there's some things they say about themselves. We're almost on the break, but I want to emphasize something against the background of what was happening on Palm Sunday. So back to your Galatians 5:1. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. How did he set us free? He set us free by laying down his life. He gave up his life so that
Ultimate sacrifice.
we could be free. On Palm Sunday, he was beginning kind of like his
The
final walk.
Journey.
He was
Knowing
in
what
the
was
last
ahead of
stage.
him.
Right. He knew what was ahead of him, but he stood the course and he continued. The same persons who were saying Hosanna and greeting him with such exuberance would, in a matter of days, say, crucify him. And with that knowledge, he continued. So to me, that is one of the first lessons on how you walk in freedom. You walk in freedom, filled with purpose, and having a commitment that even for the same people who would disparage you,
Little
and
turnaround.
you exercise that choice to move towards doing something that is going to create a better situation for them
everybody.
on the other side. So when James says pure and faultless religion is to look after orphans and widows in their distress, he's saying you must be so focused on meeting the needs of others in how you live
That's the most important thing in
that you can continue to walk a difficult path.
but you are free
You're free to do
make
so.
the decision to do
Yes.
that. And that God has not taken, as we go to the break, has not taken that from us. Freedom of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on the break?
Yeah.
Very well. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Bass FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Karen and Michelle Campbell of Mount Peto in Hanover now have a comfortable place to call home after being among the latest recipients of the government's new social housing program, the NSHP.
We could and can never repay you for this act of kindness. I pray that the Lord would continue to bless you so that you can continue to help others in need.
Michelle Campbell expressing her gratitude on behalf of her entire family. The 3-bedroom unit was built at a cost of approximately $5.8 million. Prime Minister Andrew Holness traveled to Hanover to deliver the keys to the family recently.
Your government has a duty to find a way to assist. That is part of our social equity and social justice consideration. That not because you're poor, you should live in a substandard house.
Before the blessing of a new home, the family lived in a dilapidated structure which exposed them to the elements. The government worked with contractors CA Quality Development and Construction to deliver the new housing unit. Prime Minister Holness says the NSHP represents the government's commitment to providing decent housing to as many as possible of the estimated 10,000 Jamaicans living in less than ideal conditions.
We wouldn't be able to address that 10,000 one time. But what we have done is to work out a modality which we can scale up very quickly and start to have a significant impact on the problem.
NSHP falls under the Housing Opportunity Production and Employment Hope Program in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. During this fiscal year, another 315 housing units will be constructed under the program. 5 units will be delivered to indigent families in each of the island's 63 constituencies. The long-term objective, Mr. Holness says, is to deliver hundreds of homes every year under the NSHP. In the meantime, Mr. Holness has expressed gratitude to the taxpayers of Jamaica, noting that their tax dollars are being used to assist the most vulnerable, including the Campbells of Mount Peto in Hanover.
We assess they don't have an income, their family, their household does not have an income, and they would not be able to afford the home. And because we all agree that no one in our community should live in circumstances like that, we would make it available to them.
For citizens who do not qualify for support under the social housing program, the Prime Minister reiterated the government's commitment to providing cost-effective housing solutions.
We're going to build houses that meet all the price points. We're going to build houses for people who can afford a $150 million house. We're not going to build those. Obviously, the private sector will build those. But we will enter into the market to supply the $20 million homes, the $14 million homes, the $8 million homes, a lot of that. And we are also going to provide the $2 million and $6 million solution and those land solutions which may not have a home built on it.
Member of Parliament for Hanover Eastern, where the unit was built, Dave Hume Brown, welcomed the home, noting that it is the first of 4 to be constructed in the area.
It signals the culmination of a dream realized. It is a dream of every Jamaican to own a house and more so make it into a home. Mr. Prime Minister, through the whole program, you have given these persons hope. You have given them hope, and we are joyful for that.
To learn more about the new social housing program and other initiatives under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, call 876-926-1590 or visit negjc.gov.jm. For application details, visit your constituency office.
NIS pensioners, early encashment continues. Any pension order voucher with a payable date in April 2022 may be encashed as of Thursday, April 7. Collect your April payments at your convenience. Simply visit your designated post office. Pension vouchers can only be encashed at post offices. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Hello?
Nadine?
Yeah?
Me just pick up one Maxfield Easterbun up by supermarket phone.
One Maxfield, but nah go do.
Nadine, that is all I could afford.
Uncle Pat, Daddy, and Jeffrey only eat bun back. And bun only come with front back and back. So where next back I go come from?
If you want more Maxfield Easterbun, go up at the supermarket or check maxfieldbakery.com.
Yeah, I forgot send credit for put on service then.
Come on from my phone. Sure. Maxfield Easterbun, do it to the max.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all, you can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
Vijam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Vijam Printers, your best choice in printing.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Percy.
Wow. I tell you.
Welcome back.
Warm up the chat this morning.
Yes, it's getting interesting, but I'm indebted to one of our listeners online who has made an interesting point. He said that just what we are talking about with Palm Sunday and the symbolic gesture of the citizens laying their clothes on the road and cutting down foliage from the nearby trees as a part of the reception. There's something very spontaneous about it. I pointed that out. One, when you're receiving your king or you're receiving royalty or someone noble, there's preparation and announcements and committees and decorations and so on. We know that there was some forewarning of Christ's entry into the town because he sent for his transport. Transport had to be brought to him. And more likely than not, there was some chatter surrounding it because 2 disciples leading off the man's donkey and colt would not pass unnoticed in a small community or in areas where people live in close confines.
How would them go with the donkey?
In Jamaica style. Absolutely. No matter so donkey that. Where am I go with it? Hey, where you going? Questions would be asked and people would say, we're on this. So there was some notice, albeit perhaps not weeks of preparation, but there's something very symbolic about taking your own garment and laying it down, cutting from nature and laying it down. It's very spontaneous. And so underline Taki says that just the Palm Sunday events reminded him of the death, we call it a funeral cortege, the motorcade. He says motorcade. He says everywhere that the motorcade for the, I'm going to say, fallen president of Tanzania, Magufuli, last year, March. Now, you may recall that it was widely reported that there were 5 heads of state who opposed the vaccine regime. And a number of them, I think all 5, died under circumstances that excited conversation. The president of Tanzania
was one of them.
One of them. And his burial last March, Taki says, everywhere that his motorcade went, there were people laying branches of all kinds, as well as their clothing, on the route for the motorcade carrying his body to pass over them. Of course, he says this is a reminder that such traditions came out of Africa. He's been taken to task by another ardent listener who says that, who took it further and says, is the business of burning palm and marking the Ford on Easter Sunday from Africa. But I wouldn't have taken that out of his comment, but I certainly took the fact that there is some kind of symbolic gesture and some spontaneity to the desire to show exceptional honor to even the deceased remains of this great man, their own president, who died, and the funeral, the motorcade was making its way through the city. Conrad quite rightly then says, don't forget, today it's called red carpet treatment. Yes. And that's what we're talking about.
Never get red carpet.
Who, you?
No, he never got red carpet treatment. There was no red carpet, but
Right.
it was a
Yeah.
spontaneous
To
response.
me, it's the equivalent.
Yes,
You're
that's-
showing honor
yeah.
because you regard this person as important. But I was making the point that Jesus was regarded as of political importance as well, because they were under military oppression.
They were.
And they saw this man as having the potential to free them from that oppression.
And remember, they were looking for a king.
Yes.
That it was in their text coming through. A king would come, would bring healing, restoration to where they used to be in terms of the Solomonic era.
Right. So I am kind of creating an analogy. I'm asking Jamaicans to look at that historical detail, scriptural though it may be,
draw the
still
principles.
history. Pull some principles from it.
That's what we're talking about.
And look at where we are today, where we too are striving to experience and to enjoy certain freedoms. From this program, we speak about the freedom into which you are called by virtue of the very sacrificial dying of Christ, which we are celebrating this week. 1 Peter 2 verse 16 says, live as free people, but do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. And it said, live as God's slaves. Now, the word slave is interesting in this context, because if you're a slave, you're not free. But as I said to Pastor Percival, if I am going to be contained by anyone, let it be a force that is higher than me, that is higher than anything that
I
is
can't
like
come
me.
against. The
In
infinite.
other words, we cannot be enslaved by man and the principles of man, or by the world and the principles of the world. That is the freedom into
the
which we
debt.
are called. That is the freedom that we want to enjoy. That is the freedom that is Jamaica's portion. That is what we are entitled to claim, both personally, as Pastor say, on the individual level, and on the national level. We must organize our relationships with other countries so that we do not go back into slavery.
You got to a point of self-determining. And as we've often said, with all the different power blocks that exist in the world at present, we see new ones emerging. We have to be careful that if we join any of these blocks or we are aligned to any of them, that at the end of it, Jamaica comes out better. What do you think about that? We have to have some self-interest.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. There is
And the controversy
the
continues.
the reason that I am on this path. Let me make it clear so Pastor Percy don't get so you're not destroyed along with me. So you can defend me. Or do I put it that way?
Then we can defend
So
you.
you can defend me. We're on this path for two reasons. One, we had Sizzler Kalonji with us on Thursday, and he spoke about the, I'm going to say the politics, the social underpinnings of
What they do.
the indigenous people of Jamaica recognized, we're not recognized by the United Nations, the various declarations by the United Nations. Jamaica is a signatory to these declarations, and the Rastafarian community, the Maroons, are recognized as indigenous peoples, put it that way. The Rastafarian, both in terms of, well, founded on their religion and to some extent their politics. They might not like the word politics, but that is
That's
my
what it
word
is.
for it.
That's what
Yes,
it is, yeah.
how they organize their
themselves,
society.
Right.
And of course, the Maroons, by virtue of the treaty, which is a historical fact.
1724?
238 years ago. You can do the math.
Yeah.
So Jamaica has within its society two groups who have been recognized that the uniqueness of their experience and their social status has given them the freedom to act, to behave, to organize themselves in a certain way. Are they doing it? Perhaps not, but it is their right to do it. Are some of them doing it? Yes. Are others even aware of what it is, what all this means? Perhaps not, but such is the freedom that they enjoy. Now, because these two groups are bred out of the Jamaican context, it means that those of us who might not be a part of it fully or at all need to develop an awareness and understanding of it. It also means that the leaders of our country need to develop an understanding of how this affects life in the country as a whole. So on Thursday, when the role of the president and the office of the president was spoken of on our program, I know that it excited a great deal of commentary, and it is commentary that should not be left unaddressed.
And shouldn't be a 9-day wonder.
And that is why I said we must be prepared to interrogate these concepts. I use the word interrogate because it is not a polite or a pleasant conversation. It is a rigorous analysis for the purpose of extracting useful information that we will actually use, not just information that's recorded on the books and we move on as if it never happened. We have too much of a bad habit of doing it, and that is one of the ways that we are delusional. It's one of the ways that we numb our minds and try to escape looking at the truth, at the reality of our situation, lest we have to do something about it. Very common. And
No,
sometimes we use religion.
Yes,
We go into church and we pray and we weep and we get on our knees and
but we don't go back. But we don't, because I tell people all the time, having prayed, your faith says you must now act. You must act. Well, some man, God ain't worked out, really. But the truth is, let me just burst some people's bubbles. God will intervene supernaturally, but God has given to every single person all that they need for life and godliness in this time to exist. And, even in terms of what is close to Allah, more some money. So God is going to drop money into your lap. And don't see that anywhere in the world. What he does is give you ideas that you can create and get wealth. So it's important that we don't numb our minds, as you have said, go off and say, boy, this is not going to happen. Having prayed, then God now says, stand up and act in faith. Speak the thing, declare it, praise me, and watch me work on your behalf. But there's work that you must do in order to bring the thing to a reality, which draws us to the 1660. It's about having decided that, let's go ahead in terms of what God needs to do. What God is calling us
All
to
right.
do.
So I want us to talk a little bit about the Commonwealth because, yes, we need to get it at the personal level. We need to catch it at the community level, which is why, as Pastor said, we have. Oh, Pastor, I'm so excited. I have to say good morning to Chanel Nevers.
Joseph.
It was such a delight to have a conversation with her on the weekend. She's going to be a visitor to the program, and hopefully,
I know Chanel.
well, say good morning to her then.
Good
now.
morning, beautiful Chanel. She's a beautiful young lady, bubbly, full of spirit.
Oh God, man. I think we share the same DNA in terms of how we feel about issues like these, and so Chanel has very kindly agreed to be a part of the team and to bring the 60 in 60 into existence. So I am very pleased to greet her and to
Chanel
say
Pastor say hello. Oh, Chanel say Pastor.
we're looking forward to working with Chanel on these issues. So we got to catch it personally at the community level, and nationally now we have to insist on it. You know why? You and I can be out there in the field doing what matters to us in our communities, and our government is off doing something entirely different. And at the end of the day, when the record is looked into, you see Jamaica one way on the government national side, and you see the people doing one other thing, and that is happening to us right this moment. We have a government that was elected by a very small cohort of voters, and that government is out there doing things, taking positions, not all of them wrong, but there are some critical ones which the people need to understand and get into the conversation. What is the Commonwealth? And this is how the Commonwealth describes itself. I'm on their own website. The Commonwealth has been described as an organism which could evolve but could not have been constructed from a blueprint. That's what they say about themselves. Meaning they want us to believe that it is unplanned, that it just organically grew. I call it the Survivors Club, because almost all the members, and certainly the original members, came out of that relationship with Britain, the relationship with Pharaoh, the relationship with an oppressive force. That would be like after the hostages are released, the hostage taker keep all their numbers and then call them up and say, hey, why don't we get together on the anniversary of your release?
You mean the syndrome?
Or something. Yes, the Stockholm Syndrome. But the Stockholm Syndrome is not the oppressor trying to cultivate a good relationship with you. Is you, the hostage, falling in love with your oppressor. And you think it's freedom. So the Commonwealth is an organism, suggesting that it just sprung out of nothing.
Organically.
Yes, that's why they say it's an organism, which could evolve because it can change based on the influence and the actions of those who are within it.
When it's trying to change,
there's no blueprint. This distinguishes it from the United Nations, built around its charter in the conscious endeavor to establish universally recognized standards for international conduct. What this is really saying is that the people who oppressed you sort of magically draw you into a relationship where they set the terms and the standards by which you behave. Now, if I held you hostage and then I want to determine the standards by which you would behave, what do you think would be the most important standard for me? I'll tell you. It would be that you don't come to your senses and attack me and try to take back from me what me did thief from you. So this reparations argument is occurring in the context of members of the Commonwealth wanting to be compensated by the head of the Commonwealth. There was an article in Sunday's paper.
Franklin
No, we
Milano?
can bring it up. No, not him.
McDonough?
No, it's I think it's the surname is Smith, but he's writing about the Commonwealth, and he had served in the office in the secretariat.
Okay.
And he was making the point that although the head of the Commonwealth does not need to be a member of Queen Elizabeth's family, the members have all voluntarily said that when she goes, it will be Prince Charles. Voluntarily. I mean, if there's ever any sign of mental enslavement, that's the clearest one. So the Commonwealth has no charter. It has no constitution, just like how it doesn't. And that's why they call it an organism.
Okay.
But you can join it. It has rules that govern withdrawals and suspension, and it is funded by member states. There is a listing online you'll find of the top 9 funders. Right up there is the UK, naturally. Jamaica does not. Jamaica is not listed as a funder.
But we don't. Okay.
Yeah, Nigeria is one of the main contributors. So the Commonwealth is not funded by the Queen, so it's not like she's taking some of the reparations money to sustain the club. The members, so there is like a real weird feeling about that, because you are now paying for your continued enslavement.
So, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me see if I understand what you're saying. So it is funded by the person.
By the members.
Who were formerly colonies.
Yes.
Okay.
And they have a list of the top funders. UK is amongst it. You can find it because I'm on their website and I found it. The Commonwealth of today was by no means an inevitable development. It came about through the powerful bonds which developed among leaders and people, notably during the decolonizing process and in the early years of the Commonwealth's evolution as an association of sovereign states. Yes, I am reading with quotes. The consequences of changes led by Jawaharlal Nehru and Kwame Nkrumah are best known, but there are several such turning points. I'm not going to read anymore. You can find it on the website. And if you look at the Sunday, there is an article in Sunday's paper by, in fact, it is described as the first part of a 3-part series. Let's see if I can find it. This is Sunday. It is part 1 of a 3-part series by a man who served, I want to do justice to it, who served in the office of the Commonwealth. Let us find it. And he speaks somewhat about the history of it, the fact that it is meant to shape the behavior of the former colonies. It is meant to shape the behavior of the Commonwealth, history and relevance. Ransford Smith. So at least I got the last name right. Mr. Smith is a former Deputy Secretary General of the Commonwealth. He recently spoke on the Commonwealth and its relevance in a lecture series hosted by the Institute of International Relations, St. Augustine, that's Trinidad, and the Diplomatic Academy of the Caribbean. This is first of a 3-part article based on his talk. And he does say quite a bit about the history of it. Let me quote from him. Right? He said current members include 2 G7 countries, the United Kingdom and Canada, 5 G20 members, 13 least developed countries, 32 small states, and several newly industrializing economies. The population of the Commonwealth is over 2.4 billion. Now, this is not a small endeavor to seek to set standards of behavior for 2.4 billion people. I think 54 nation states, if you do the math.
203. With the 203
Yes.
nation states, and then in terms of the population of
the world,
it's 33%. There are about 10.5 billion people.
So it's significant. It is significant. The overwhelming majority of Commonwealth members are in fact republics, 34, while 5 have their own monarchs, and the remaining 15, including Jamaica, retain the British monarch as head of state. The current head of the Commonwealth is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. It must be noted that this is not a constitutional requirement, but the choice of members. 4 years ago, in 2018, meeting in London, Commonwealth heads of government agreed that in the fullness of time, meaning when she dies, the next head of the Commonwealth shall be His Royal Highness, Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales.
So the people there
He
agree.
starts his article by saying the Commonwealth of Nations has no founding treaty or governing constitution. It is headquartered at Marlborough House in London and has now been headed for the better part of a century by a 95-year-old monarch. A defining characteristic of the modern Commonwealth has been its quite rapid growth in membership from a small group of white self-governing dominions in colonial times to the current Free Association of Independent
It's a
States.
free association, so you can leave when you want to leave.
Yeah, that's how it is described. All right, it is time for our 7:30 break. Please, let's take our break and then we'll come back and continue the discussion. Stay with us. This is the Morning Connection.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep
For a
listening.
better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-time taxi service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all. You can call us on 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
Vejan Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vejan Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best FM.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us in the dark. Pastor, you lose my article. What did you do?
Touch it as
There you go.
Just a
All
touch
right,
of
you know
the
what?
master's hands and
That
it changes
that
everything.
is in the exercise of your freedom, and out of the love I have for you, all I can say is I will teach you how to touch it properly.
Okay, sister.
How is that?
Into the touch out of me. But anyway, I was just
Scrolling through,
Yeah.
and it jumped from one place to the next.
I was just thinking about what you have said in terms of the genesis of the Commonwealth. There wasn't any constitution as it was, but a document has evolved over time which deals with how they respond to each other. Do you know that the Commonwealth, even the very structure itself, came under heavy scrutiny with apartheid, which Jamaica led, and so what has happened? It has evolved in terms of just hey, everything all right and good, and continue on there to be a strong forum for breaking and highlighting all of the things that are not going well around the world. So we'll see what happens. I am
Pastor, I want to make a point here.
Okay.
And I don't expect it to be contentious between us. We speak a lot about repentance and the fact that repentance is not just a sentimental change of mind, it is a change of conduct. I'm not by any means saying that Britain cannot be the UK, the Queen, that empire cannot repent of its atrocious behavior towards other human beings and seek to play a great role in bringing about the change. But the first thing that I would expect to see from a repentant person is accepting responsibility and making restitution or compensating. The first thing is that if you realize that this thing that you have, which you thought was okay, when you realize it's not okay, you want to distance yourself from it. You want to make every effort that you can to distance yourself from it. If the Commonwealth cannot come up with a formula for reparations, if the Commonwealth, sitting together, all of them, can't say to their leader, you did us wrong, and this is what needs to be done to repair, to fix. If the leader is not saying to the Commonwealth, I am in covenant with you under this organization.
We're never in covenant.
But that's the point. And so I don't see how, I don't see by any means how nations that regard themselves as free would continue under this construct without making sure that the person that they are keeping as head of their organization has taken all the steps to make good what was done in the past. It's not enough to talk about this behavior or this trait that is a stain on your history or something that is abhorrent and should never have occurred. It happened, and there are people standing in front of you today to whom you can make good. If you're not prepared to do it, then the Commonwealth is of no value. And for me...
Okay, so I understand.
Of no value to us, you know. It's of value to them, obviously. There's a reason it has survived for the better
what
part
would you
of a
think
century.
the reason is?
Because it reinforces and absolves them from being responsible for their own behavior.
So what you are saying is, if they were to accept responsibility and pay, then that would be a good reason for the Commonwealth to continue to exist. That's one point.
That's one point.
All right,
but
and then
that explains their leadership of it.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying you couldn't have a group of countries who share that common history, having their own organization and working out amongst themselves how to solve problems and prevent a repeat of what transpired. In other words, you and I have walked out of the hostage room, and we decide that we're going to keep meeting to keep track of each other and to help each other overcome that hardship and to implement strategies to prevent its recurrence and to be a place of refuge and support for others who find themselves in a similar situation. That's why these survivors groups are so important.
So what you're saying, there's merit in what some of the good that has happened, but the major thing that you say should not continue to exist for us because the person who is ahead of it has been the perpetrator of everything that has happened. Okay.
Yeah, that is like
Those are your points.
putting the pedophile in charge of the victims club.
Why you use some strong language?
Yes, because I want persons to think deeply about what the significance of it, the symbolism of it. Somebody has done you wrong and you put them in charge of the repair work, but they themselves have not acknowledged or accepted responsibility for the wrong they did.
They have acknowledged, but they have not gone all the way into.
Well, you mean the acknowledgement that you're pulling out of them piece by piece. Every generation says something a little closer to what you want to hear. That is not acknowledgement.
Oh, okay.
Welcome, Perry the Pirate. Yes, I am a stickler for perfection, but I do entertain and have all kinds of persons interact with me.
We have dialogue.
We have dialogue.
Because the truth is,
I'm a stickler for perfection because I aspire to it, but
we must recognize that somebody can take a position on something which is not in agreement to you, but we can agree to disagree on the fundamentals. Is that all right with you?
Me?
Somebody, yes.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was
I
reading
just-
something
in
that
fact-
Earl says here. One of the listeners says that Fiji Island used to be in and out of the British Commonwealth. His ex-daughter-in-law from Fiji was refused entry into Jamaica because she did not have a Jamaican visa. Jamaica discriminated against black people. Is that the influence of the Commonwealth? He seemed to be saying that. But can I tell you, although Jamaica is a member of the Commonwealth, don't believe you can just pack your bag and walk into London. When you come off that plane, you
No,
had
man.
better be ready to.
But we've heard of cases, even
Yeah.
Montserrat, which was a protectorate,
Yes,
when they had the volcano.
and had passport.
And then, yeah, they couldn't freely get into England. So the question is, it is a club of convenience for
Yes.
some people. But the real issues that
And then
could emerge.
another comment here. I'm going to share this one. Says, "Isn't the Commonwealth like a spell, still keeping us tied to the monarchy? We don't need that than to be more united with the Caribbean and Africa, barring the British or colonial allies."
That's what he's saying we should. With the ACP, the ACP Union,
African and
Caribbean and Pacific countries,
Yes.
I'm assuming that most of the members of the ACP are members of the Commonwealth. So they could move from that and say we deal with it unless you sort out the slavery thing and reparations. We're not talk to you.
Well, it would be interesting to see if under Jamaica's leadership of the Commonwealth, whether the new Secretary General.
Oh, she's gonna be the new. It has been done. It's a done deal now.
No, I'm just I don't even know what the chances are, because even the Prime Minister, when he spoke of it, said that other candidates are emerging.
Wow.
As if he was, you're saying like the field don't really look too badly on Jamaica for proposing a candidate, because once many persons are not holding the line about supporting the incumbent for a second term. But it's very interesting that even as we are, considering it and talking about it, there was that article which you sent me. What was it published in again? It's in the Telegraph in the UK. There's an article addressing or reporting on the Dame Patricia Scotland's position regarding reparations,
As her
and some
position is pushing it.
and some very strong statements she's making that it's unacceptable at this time that there isn't some conclusive position on it, meaning the monarchy needs to step up. I think that's how I read it.
Yeah,
and so
because
I
it
wondered
if that is why they're pushing
her
out
falling
for-
out of favor is because she's pushing them to do the very thing that I am talking about this morning. Take responsibility. Don't keep people under no club, as my friend called it here, a spell.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. The
Yeah,
article
or a
is-
curse.
Yeah. The Telegraph, and don't misunderstand history. Don't repeat Commonwealth proposed. And she has, in reading the article, she really says, "Come on, let's fix this thing. Let's
Yeah,
stop
well,
tippy-toeing around it because we really need to fix it." And she thinks that is what has got her into hot water.
Yes, because usually, that's when we try. We try to shut people up.
Mhm.
And the perfect way to shut them up is to try and discredit them. So, they talk about financial improprieties or nepotism, and there's talk about her behavior. No one is saying that the policies she favors or statements she's making, that those are inimical to the interest of member states, which you think would be the main point of opposing a person who sits in a political office. They are instead talking about
Real issues.
actions in her office that speak to governance. Or anytime I see that, born out of my own experience, anytime I see people starting to say you're not fit and proper, I know that is something you're saying on the political or the economic front, which is touching their pocket or touching their power base or their influence.
Yeah,
We
to
sti-
quote her, she said, "The ministers are all saying this is an issue, talking about race and reconciliation summit. The debate doesn't go away because you shove it under the carpet. These are not uncomfortable conversation, but it's where the Commonwealth is great because the people and countries involved are all on that journey. It's not just taking one side, we are all the sides." So she was saying, talking about Black History Month, the protest, that we need to do something about it. Let's not do what is present to be done. Yeah. No more business as usual. That's what she was saying. Yeah. In the article.
Yeah. Well, listen, I certainly don't mind our country, Jamaica, participating in a talk shop or a policy club or whatever you want to call it, where we are seeking to influence, important matters. For example, just quoting again from Ransford Smith, from Mr. Smith's article, he talks about different commitments that the Secretariat, the Commonwealth, has made. He says in high-level documents such as the Singapore and Harare Declarations of 1971 and 1991, those are so long ago, adopted 20 years apart, Commonwealth leaders have repeatedly affirmed their commitment to democracy, good governance, sustainable development, human rights, and gender equality. Wow. Really? Those are just so obvious. And that's like 40 years ago. 40 years ago. So what new?
1971 was 50 years ago.
Yeah, so what's new? He said they were, yes, you're right, mathematically. These are things that were done 20 years apart. So what is it, every 20 years? There's like a bright idea from the club? I don't mean to be disparaging, but really. Notably, the view repeatedly expressed, such as in declarations adopted in Malta and in Port of Spain, is that the two, governance and development, are intertwined, supportive, and mutually reinforcing. Indeed, democracy and development are the twin pillars around which successive Commonwealth strategic plans and assistance to member states have been structured over several decades.
Mm-hmm. You see, Per the Parrot has made an interesting.
Oh.
He says, why don't we just, how about CCJ folks, why can't we just let go private accounts? Allies don't want to lose them QC. There's a whole heap of things with this Commonwealth things that we're not even beginning to talk about. Wow.
He says, I guess you're part of that group, Minute. Come on, Perry. read the news.
Read the news.
Minute is not a part of any group.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay, so we're advocating this morning that in the exercise of our personal or constitutional freedoms, we begin to look more closely at these associations in which our country is involved and take some decision on where we want to be. I say on a spiritual level that it cannot be the will of our divine creator that we enter into a relationship with those who oppressed us that does not have all the markings of repentance and righteousness at the foundation of it. An unrepentant monarch, a system that continues to support and reinforce itself based on its original founding principles, cannot work for the benefit of the ordinary men and women of this country. And we see our own leaders coveting the top positions in those institutions and leveraging our own, our own reputation, because our country have reputation too.
We have a big one in the world.
Leveraging our reputation and standing to step into a position that is contrary to what the people are about, because Jamaicans are not about continuing to support foreign policies that don't make sense for us. We are right now grappling with some very, very basic issues and concerns about the survival of Jamaicans within this construct. The Jamaica Public Service Company made an announcement.
Yes.
Well, no, it's an announcement, but they have been speaking, and one of the things, it was very humorously depicted in a cartoon, one of the caricatures on the weekend, JPS have the public, the public is usually a, generously shaped woman with an afro, had her by the gizzards, so to speak, holding the public high up in a stick-up move. And JPS says, we're collecting the government's taxes, and the government, being the Minister of Finance, is kind of in a Santa hat, is sneaking off in the background with a big bag on his back. The point being, it's a whole commentary on what is happening, namely that most countries most governments have done something to offer reprieve
To the
to
person.
the citizens on the cost of electricity. Yes, on the JPS bag was something about bailout because of that nonsense contribution. Who are the people who qualify for that? I don't know. My mother, who is a retired person living under some very
200
austere
megawatt.
circumstances, small, she don't qualify.
So who then qualify?
I wonder who qualify.
Because they pointed out that it was 80%. That's what
Yeah,
that
but
was the
but
headline
who?
said.
Yeah,
but
that's
who are
what it
these
said. But
people?
who are these people?
Because as you have advocated, you have said.
My mother's light bill moved from like $6,000 to either 12 or 13, and then it moved to 17.
In what space? 3 months?
Since the war, well, not since the war, but the run up to the war. Those are the last 3 bills.
Look like
And
she
it was
running a
sitting
shop on them
easy
things.
within the $6,000 range for a long time.
So it really is not virtue at all. It just look like
It's the appearance of it. You make an announcement, but when you look at that, the article, JPS is saying that about 40% of what they collect is taxes.
But we know that. 'Cause you look
Between
at
the
your bill.
special tax on fuel, then GCT, the government
We know that.
is who's profiting.
So that is why the call to
Now, when I said the government, it's supposed to be us because taxes would come to do our
come back
business.
to us, right?
But I don't feel served in any of this. It's a struggle to just to pay just to keep your electricity on, the power on in your house. It's a struggle. That's what is happening with Jamaica. While they're coveting Secretary General of the Commonwealth, and we can't get our government to be truly responsive to the cry of the people on as basic a thing as the cost of energy.
Because a lot of countries have done that, you know. Almost all countries.
Listen to me. Even the US is raiding their special reserve
in order to
create a buffer for their citizens.
Come
And
on.
Jamaica has done nothing, absolutely nothing except resist the cry of the people to give some relief.
Yeah, because even this thing that the special thing that they're giving the vouchers to the taxman, don't really make no sense, you know. Foolishness.
That's just words.
Yeah, foolishness.
And then on top of it, so just see what is happening here now. There was also an announcement that the Minister of Finance has done some recalculation of rights and benefits for public sector workers, and the concession on motor vehicles gone. And the Minister of Finance is saying that the people are going to be pleased with the new package because it exceeds the value of the concession. I know, I'll see your face. You gotta see his face. Yeah, that's the word. He said they're gonna be pleased. And he began to say things like the concession never used to be taken into account with the calculation of pension, and now that it is money, then that will be some things that sound like the schoolboys running our business.
When you did feel hungry, what's the use of the
Yeah.
pension?
Well, you won't make it to the pensionable age because we would have died under the burden of the cost of living.
I'm just wondering. I know one of my friends used to work in MO, Ministry of Finance,
Mhm.
one of the tax specialists, and he would say to me, I asked him, we want to come up with some of them fool thing, When you sit down and go, see if you can find money.
And what
for
he
the
said?
And them said, because we have to close the budgetary gap. I said, really? So what about the Jamaicans that are hurting? It's just about closing this.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game for them. So what happened to the people? The people are that in the numbers.
But if you get a duty concession that is worth $2.5 million, say, or is it that you're
And there's only few-
limited to the car
but
that you can order?
No, man. If you want to buy a Benz, you can. It's just that you get the duty concession for it. But
Yeah, so if the duty concession is worth $2.5 million,
there's only few people can get it. You know?
is the minister saying that someone who used to get a concession worth $2.5 million,
Mm-hmm.
their pay is going to go up by $2.5 million, or maybe 3 or 4?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It's gonna be
And it's-
another 3-card Montes thing where they spread the 2.5 over 5 years, and then you get a little piece of it this year, and next year you can get a little bit more, and it's gonna be some drama because guess what?
If we should try to get O'Neill Grant on the program.
Who's O'Neill Grant?
He's head of the Jamaica Civil Service Association,
okay.
represents, because they are the people who are negotiating on behalf of most civil servants who could get somebody from JT. Because the reality is that only few people get duty concessions who are traveling officers. Nobody else not really get it. How many traveling officers are there amongst the thousands of civil servants who are there?
Okay, so you're saying then that change won't be of
Impact
great
to-
statistical impact
to most people.
to most persons. So which would mean then that it's not even worth it. Are you saying it's not worth fighting for, or what are you saying?
Him said they'll be pleased, and the people say, "Oh, that affect me."
So you're saying it's only a few people gonna be affected?
If they are
by it?
pleased at all.
Okay. Well.
You need to go fight crime.
well, well, I think more to come on that. Some of the resistance it's getting is that these are benefits that were enjoyed and have some value over and above just the dollar value of it. It allowed persons to change their cars with some frequency, and then when you're able to sell your car, there is some equity that you get out of it if you act within the guidelines. Because I think when you get this concession, you can't dispose of it within a certain period of time. If you do, you have to pay the tax.
Yeah.
But after that, you can sell it for market value, and in so doing, you benefit from the tax from the right.
That's what I think.
Okay. So, but it allowed you, most people, you buy a car, and depending on what kind of car you've bought, that's your car for life. For some persons, that's how it is. But for those persons who get the concession, they can change the car, and that have some feel-good value that I would say is priceless. And when you get money in your hand, when you get the cash in your hand on your paycheck, but it's still 17.5 or 16.5% of it goes back in GCT because you pay GCT on every single thing that you consume. It is the government giving with one hand and taking with the other, and more likely than not, getting that money, on a monthly basis, you could never save up to buy the car or to even afford maybe a car loan.
Yeah.
That could get you a comparable vehicle. So I know that the union is against it because there was some report as well that the leaders, the union leaders were saying, come on, let's meet and talk about this urgently so before we take a decision on how to respond to it. But the method by which it is done is of concern because it sounds like a sneak attack. It don't sound like any kind of consultative process. And so while we're talking about, even from the Commonwealth perspective, that governance and development are intertwined and that democracy is a part of good governance, we're not consulting. We're coming up with these ideas, and then people hear about it on the street.
And don't hear about it on the news. Here's what happened. It's like some of the times you listen to tax policy in this country. It's like somebody go to them bed. It's more a nightmare instead of a dream, and says, okay, we need to find money there. So we go and look at it, and then we come back and say, Minister, we can do this. And we say, yes, man, as long as you show me of the money that's going to come in with no consideration, no consultation at all. And we make these grand announcements, and when the people rise up against it, we say they're being unreasonable, they have no conscience. And you don't see that it's going to affect the intake, but we need to do more than that. We have been saying government without consensus is what?
Slavery?
You say slavery, tyranny. But it
Slavery?
is true. It's not government for the people.
Yeah, by the people.
Yeah, it's not good.
All right, we've come up on another break. So let's take the break. When we get back, it will be time for us to open the lines. We're talking about freedom, and we've been inspired greatly by we've been inspired greatly by the conversations with Sizzler last Thursday and the happenings in the news regarding the Commonwealth. If Minette had to vote today, she would be saying, done with the Commonwealth, refocus our attentions, and find associations with persons of like mind who would build wealth for Jamaica. And the producer is calling it Jamaican wealth. I know what Jamaican wealth is. It is green, it is very fragrant and aromatic, and it was recently decriminalized. Let's take our break. That's Jamaican wealth.
Blast FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
BBC News. Hello, this is Jerry Smith. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said Russia's siege of Mariupol has destroyed the city and is likely to have killed tens of thousands of people. He was addressing Parliament in South Korea. Mark Lowen reports from Kyiv.
President Zelensky said Mariupol had been burned to ashes and that tens of thousands of people are likely to have been killed there, a claim that, if confirmed, would be the highest number of dead in one area. Ukrainian Marines there say their ammunition is running out and speak of their final battle, adding, "It's death for some of us and captivity for the rest." The besieged city is one of 9 areas where new humanitarian corridors have been set up, although authorities say Russian troops are slowing down evacuations. Meanwhile, fears are growing of a renewed Russian offensive in the east. Reports from Belarus suggest significant movement of tanks and anti-aircraft missile systems there, a likely sign of preparations to reinforce the Russian military.
In the past few minutes, Pakistan's parliament has chosen a new prime minister. The main opposition leader, Shehbaz Sharif, will replace Imran Khan, who lost a no-confidence vote at the weekend. Sikandar Kamani in Islamabad says Mr. Sharif will face problems on many fronts.
There's a major economic challenge here in Pakistan, real complaints from ordinary people about the rising cost of living. There's also going to be a major challenge presented by Imran Khan and his supporters because they are not going to take this defeat lying down. It's also going to be a challenge for Shehbaz Sharif to hold this coalition together because it's made up of his centre-right party, the centre-left Pakistan People's Party. Those are the two parties that have for decades been arch rivals of each other.
The number of people killed by gunmen in a series of raids in Nigeria's Plateau State has risen to more than 135. Gunmen on motorbikes attacked several remote villages on Sunday. The French President Emmanuel Macron is touring northern France as he kicks off his campaign for re-election in this month's second-round runoff. He has 12 days to convince voters he can defeat the far-right leader Marine Le Pen. As Hugh Schofield reports from Paris, Mr. Macron is changing his strategy.
To fight off the far-right challenge, the president is to immerse himself comprehensively in the hunt for votes. And this morning he set the pattern with a walkabout in the northern town of Denain, one of the poorest in France, whose people voted overwhelmingly yesterday either for Marine Le Pen or for the far left. Marine Le Pen, meanwhile, is travelling to meet farmers east of Paris. Both leaders need to cast their appeal wider in order to attract voters for other candidates in round one. Above all, that means reaching out to people who identify with the political left, whose candidates have all been eliminated.
World News from the BBC. The Chinese city of Shanghai is to begin relaxing some lockdown restrictions, despite a continuing rise in the number of daily cases. Here's our China correspondent, Stephen McDonald.
Government here has attempted to ease tensions in Shanghai after struggling to feed 25 million residents who've been under a strict stay-at-home lockdown. They've announced that housing communities, which go for at least 2 weeks without a COVID infection, will have their restrictions altered. Residents in this category will be allowed to travel outside their homes and move around within limited parts of their local districts. People in some Shanghai districts say they've had their front doors chained to prevent them from leaving, and social media has shown increased anger from those unable to order food, screaming out of their windows in protest.
Students have been demonstrating across Indonesia following suggestions that the president, Joko Widodo, wants to extend his stay in office. The police fired tear gas and water cannon on protesters at the Parliament building in the capital, Jakarta. On Sunday, Mr. Widodo denied rumours that he wants to stay in power. A court in London has found a 26-year-old follower of the Islamic State militant group guilty of the murder of a British MP. Ali Harbi Ali stabbed Sir David Amess to death in October last year. The jury also convicted the defendant of having plotted to attack other MPs. During the trial, Ali claimed his victim, a member of the governing Conservative Party, deserved death for having voted in favour of British military action in Syria. Police in the Indian capital Delhi are investigating clashes between two groups of university students over meat being served in the canteen during a Hindu religious festival. More than 10 students were injured in the violence at the prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru University on Sunday. And those are the latest stories from BBC News.
Vejam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Vejam Printers, your best choice in printing.
Hello?
Nadine?
Yeah?
Me just pick up one Maxfield Easterbourne up by supermarket phone.
One Maxfield, but nah go do.
Nadine, that is all I could afford.
Uncle Pat, Daddy, and Jeffrey only eat bun back. And bun only come with front back and back. So where next back I go come from?
If you want more Maxfield Easterbourne, go up at the supermarket or check maxfieldbakery.com.
Yeah, I forgot send credit for put on service then.
Come on from my phone. Sure. Maxfield Easterbourne, tweet to the max.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all. You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Good morning and welcome back to The Morning Connection. Thank you for staying with us to what is perhaps one of my favorite parts of the morning. We begin to speak with you. The numbers to call are 619-1508-279-8473. And just to recap what the conversation has been about this morning, freedom, we talked about freedom, and then we started to talk about the Commonwealth because we certainly want our international reputation to be in alignment with our personal ambitions, what we believe in here at home. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Am I on here, right?
You are on air. This is Minette. How are you?
Good morning, Percy and Minette.
Good
You
morning.
don't mind me calling you so?
No, sir.
Those
Not
are
the
our names.
Percy the chick.
I know this is not the subject you're talking about, but I have to discuss it because no one is discussing this thing about the war in Ukraine. Didn't the president said he was gonna arm? He armed civilian with thousands of gun and ammunition.
Yeah.
The president of Ukraine. That's what.
Right.
Yes. And we saw them making their Molotov cocktails and they're starting what looked like a cottage industry.
So when you fire after soldier police, what will happen?
I'm gonna go fire back.
All right. So no one is talking about this.
Because, maybe why it's not been talked about, it's because even in the most basic of societies, self-defense is exculpatory. It relieves you from blame even for the things that may spread a little wider than you intend because you are defending yourself. So if a man provoke war with you and you same one end up have to break something in your own home as a part of your struggle. Is the man fault because he bring war to you? What is your point on it?
I don't think Russia bring war to
Ukraine.
that place. You know, it's them bring war to Russia.
Oh yeah.
So you're saying Russia was provoked by Ukraine, and so they
Not
came.
Ukraine, United States and NATO. The blind can see that. Anybody don't.
But how
believe
does that shift? How does
somebody
that?
don't see people in the world?
So how does that shift the balance of responsibility in your view? Does it shift it? Does it create a shift?
They could have a right to fight back, but the bigger picture is, if it was America that invaded that country, they would bomb hospital, school, everybody, and nobody would say anything about it.
Did you notice, because while you may be hearing a certain part of the conversation, did you notice that Putin's popularity has, or so it is reported, has gone through the roof in Russia itself?
Yes, I expected that too.
Wow.
All right. So what's your concern? Your concern is that Russia is being misunderstood or being poorly represented in the conversations about the war?
It depends on which side you're talking about. At home?
No,
No,
man.
may
We
I
just
ask
asking
you?
your view.
Because you said nobody's talking about it, but which suggests that what you're hearing doesn't accord either with principles of fairness or with your own views.
Well, my own view about the war, I'm just I'll tell it to take it out straight.
Yes.
If I don't know if both of you know the history of Russia and Europe.
Enough.
Or ever since NATO was formed.
What is your starting point? We have enough. What is your starting
But
point?
remember now, that you don't call us to give us a history lesson, because we have another caller online. So I would love to hear the opinion that you're putting forward that you hope other persons would share. What's that opinion?
No, it's just that I'm saying everybody's making it look like Russia is a vampire. They're so evil.
But that's
And
not
they're
true. Not
fighting for
everybody.
their people and their right.
Not everybody. Most persons who call this particular program are very sympathetic to the cause of Russia. Most of them. In fact,
what got me off this morning, I was watching a program on TV this morning. You know the program, those two idiots. Excuse me for calling them idiots.
No.
Well, so I don't know the program. But what did you see on a program that disturbed you?
So much, yes.
They were saying like all the news that they're getting from the West is true. Everything is right, and Russia is evil. And some young man called from the war, telling his mom in Russia that they're killing people, and his mom don't believe it. They're back in the American, and those two people, I think they went to school in the States, so I can expect better from them.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'm sure the people are surprised that somebody was listening to them.
They're idiots, both of them, and people look up to those people, and think they are bright. They're Stones person on TV.
All right, my friend. This morning we were talking about freedoms, and I know that that's not what you want to talk about, but I have to remind you that one of the great personal freedoms that you are enjoying right this minute is the freedom of speech and the freedom to express and to have your opinions, which can be different from everybody else's. Yes.
The last thing.
What's the
Did
last
you know
thing?
that government is in Ukraine is a far right government?
Yeah, so they say, but in Hungary,
But that's their freedom
that's
too.
their freedom to
So-
choose.
Boy Santa.
Choose.
Yeah.
Caller.
All right, thank you.
In this world that we live in, we have to be prepared to tolerate other people's ideas, and when the ideas are so abhorrent to us, we then take moves to educate people in another direction. So thank you for sharing that with us this morning. I think you already know that we are very sympathetic to the situation in Russia in Russia and in Ukraine on multiple levels. All right. Thank you so much. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Clarence. Good morning, Pastor.
Morning.
Morning, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I don't see why Michelle really take it like the drinker one there take it about Russia and Ukraine. You know, that is just, Christian and Jews are fight. Them things that all the while. Did he know that most of the people who live in Israel or Ukraine, them come from? He won't even know all that history there.
All right, so let me ask you, is that what you wanted to talk about, or you just decide to comment on it because it's...
Yeah.
Comment on your point.
So what I'm saying now is that, not comment on this lady there, what's your name?
Kamina or Dame Scotland?
Yeah, Kamina
Kamina
Johnson.
Yeah.
No, for me, which is my view, you don't think that people see how you should deal with the people who live on the boat?
Oh Lord, there are so many things. 'Cause you had that, and then you had the students in
See how you
Ukraine.
should deal with the Ukraine people, the people who are Ukraine.
You mean the rest of the... When you say people now, you mean the
Jamaican students who want to come home?
No, man. The people who you say would have seen how
The
she
white
dealt with
Caribbean,
things. Member countries,
Right.
member states who would
the
be...
12 member of the 12 member of the Caribbean then. Just
Right,
put it that way
yes.
then. I'll put it the 52 member, and I'll put the 54 member.
all the members of the Commonwealth. Yeah. Okay.
Just the 12 member of the Caribbean who know what go on in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
If she can't manage this little work what she have here, she have to manage this work and the Commonwealth work. And moreover again too, if we plan to go Republic and deal with our thing constitutionally, because we have to go deal with law, we have set the constitutional law too, because we now go work with the executive president, we have to work with it now. So some people must think say them just go drop off a head and drop on shoulder. Work put in a president and them elect the president. Them like how them elect the BPP and then elect commissioner and all them things, and then we feel live on the same thing and not change. It's just that we just change from the Queen.
You're making a very important assumption that I just want to focus on for a bit as you're speaking. And one, it is that Jamaica as a whole will participate in the decision making behind certain of the changes that we're looking forward to in the Constitution. I believe we should, and clearly so do you. But there is a process to get to that place. And you talked about Miss Johnson Smith. What is her name again? Johnson Smith. Miss Johnson Smith's track record, observable track record. Let us take a look at what is going on with the new Minister of Constitutional Matters and Legal Reform, or whatever the new ministry is. I really need to learn the name. But in my view, it is a short-lived ministry, so why bother? Look at how she is profiling and how she's expressing herself, and recognize that it is going to be a struggle. Jamaicans have to be prepared to fight for the freedom to participate in a true bid for constitutional reform. I just want to put that on the table. So as you are speaking about it, you can see that there is ahead of us a process that is not going to be easy.
Constitutional reform, when we're done with that, it will take a time and it have to go on for a time, so we have to get it straight and get it good from now.
But also, do you think that they're gonna just invite us into the dialogue and pay attention to what we say? That's the real question.
Yeah, but we're not going to work with it. We're not going to work with it, We the people of Jamaica, we the 63%, we're not going to work with it. So whatever them will say, that's why I make sure I right now. It's the same like how me used to utter say, we need constitutional change. I'm going to see them bring constitutional
right.
change.
We have another struggle ahead.
And certain little things. I go inform and educate the people, let the people know. So look here, if we have a president who want to see on the ballot, we want to vote for a president. That means we see Pastor face, I would say Miss Lawrence face, Sister Raspal face. I would say, all right, when we make my ex and anything go on, I can't say, well, then, boy, I didn't vote for him, you know. We don't want the MP to elect my president for it, or select my prime minister for it. So we are going to vote for the president and we are going to vote for the prime minister. You understand?
Yes.
So, right now, and we are going to vote for law where we can impeach them. That's why I say, what we want to do now, we are going to set the justice system where every justice have the peace and every judge have an impeachment vote. See? So it go so easy. Them can't say it can't work. You understand? Because when it becomes a justice of the peace, when people come to you, you will recognizable and you understand a justice of the peace.
Yeah, man, I like the fact that you're actually now applying your mind to what are the practical steps to get this accountability and to secure this involvement in decision making. Because as Pastor scripture that he quoted, we cannot allow ourselves to fall back into enslavement.
No.
All right,
and
my brother.
It takes time. It takes time. And it takes time.
Yes, it's creeping in, and it is happening with a minority government in place.
It's just like a music, you know. You see, if you have a music and you play it every day on a radio station.
Okay.
Yeah, man, it become number one.
Kids and the children, you know, become to know it, you know. So everybody has seen it. It's just like if you notice that the government a pattern, you know. Him always attack, say, him will do something, and then put it on GLPFM and put it on all of it. So, it reach all 11 now when me hear all thing, it's the time by the Prime Minister office. And everybody knows that there's a Prime Minister office. Them commercial cost money, you know. Cost taxpayers money and all
The Prime Minister's office is doing a time signal.
Yeah. From most of the radio station, them, I'm the GLPFM and all them things there.
Record one of them and share it with me. Because I'm not.
All right, yeah,
yes, record one of them and share it with me. All right, my brother, I gotta go because we have another caller. But I thank you for what you're saying this morning. Bless. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning, my sister.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Morning, Pastor.
Morning. I thought about you on the weekend, and I know you had a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, man. I do some observation, you know. Yeah, and I think what is lacking in this country is that people are not observing what is going on.
True.
And if we're not observing what is going on, regardless of the laws and all the things that you put in place, nothing is going to work. The reason why I said it, I think you're familiar with Portmore,
yes.
Pastor.
Yeah, man, very much so.
All right, you see from the roundabout to the at Greater Portmore to the Elsha Main Road.
Yes.
That stretch of open land and the left hand side they're going towards Greater Port, going towards the from the roundabout going towards the Elsha Main Road.
All right.
They plant trees along that road. And I'm telling you, Pastor, every time I pass out there and look at those trees, I hear the minister, the guy there in the Prime Minister's information minister talking about their track for planting more trees and them talking all them type of thing. If I can bet, I will bet $1,000 if they pass there and say 20 of those trees where them plant out of the dozens alive.
And them just plant it, because they just plant it, and that's it. We have planted the trees, but we're not sustaining it. We're not putting in the necessary care, which is what happens to most things in our country. We have a big announcement about what is happening, and then afterward, that is it.
So we have a citizen that don't observe nothing at all. So me hear Raspal talk all the while, and I am in support of what him saying, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a lot of things when him talking, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if the people
don't enforce
are not prepared, as we choose Jamaica, because if every day we hear it on the radio, where the government said them doing that, government said them doing this. And if a simple thing like we plant some trees, and nobody now hold the government them accountable. Or we will only hold them accountable for things like something with, like power, the power that them have. that them hold on to so strong. How we going to get them to
let it go.
Eh?
Yeah.
That is the point.
How are we going to get them? How are we going to get them to move? Nobody give up power, you know.
No,
Let me ask you a question. Do you doubt that it can be done?
No, I don't doubt it can be done. But I have not seen evidence that it will be done because of the damn and the Jamaican people.
Mindset of the people then. Yeah.
So
the
you're
damn and the Jamaican people. We don't see nothing at all. Nothing at all. You do so many things is happening in this country and people just pass like them don't see nothing at all. Yeah. Very few of us observe what is going on in this country.
But then, my brother, I would say let's not mistake the silence or the inactivity for a failure to see the truth of it. Because many a time, even on this program here, when persons call and you get into dialogue, they display such a sensitivity and awareness to what is happening that it catches, sometimes I think maybe it'll catch some of them by surprise, how much they're aware of it. The problem is the sense of powerlessness that people have, and the history we have of remaining quiet until we find the opportune time. Because we've come out of situations where if you're too bright and you talk up too quick, man, shoot you down, including some of your own.
Yes, my lady. But listen, I can tell you every time I listen to people, I can tell you what they talk about. Yeah. It's very few people I hear on this program talk about the issue and things that affect the country. It's more of a religious plan. Me hear everybody talk about. Raspal and a couple others talk about issues where will benefit the country. Majority of the callers that me listen to all the time.
Then I think you're not. Well, this program, Morning Connection.
Yeah.
Right. Then I think you're not listening with the right ear.
Well,
because I don't hear religion. I know that a lot of us have been cultured into expressing our hopelessness through some religious talk, but I don't hear the religion part of it. What I hear is the need for change, that people are desperately looking for a way to change. And yes, there's a kind of messianic complex, meaning to say there is an anointed person who will lead us into a better place. And that is more like a social and a political expectation than a religious one, because they literally mean man going come with such power and authority in his style of leadership that it will galvanize people into moving for change. It's not an easy thing to see yourself as having nothing or little or nothing. And I was surprised to hear you say that you don't doubt that it can change. A lot of people doubt that it can change.
I don't doubt it, you know.
So that is one.
I've never doubted it, you know.
But on what do you found that hope or that optimism? Is it faith? And faith is believing in the supernatural, because and you say you have seen no evidence, and faith is, what is it? The evidence of things not seen yet hoped for. So are you going religious on me now with this faithful statement, this statement of faith?
Listen, why I say I don't doubt it can change, you know.
Yeah.
Human being it is in the capacity of human being to make change, you know.
Yeah, but also it is in our capacity to remain the same.
So based on that factor, that it is in our capacity to make change, I believe it can happen. But I'm not seeing the evidence that we in this country are willing to make the change that we're supposed to make.
Yeah.
Because so many things are happening, and we just allow it to just go by, you know.
We're biding with time, man. We're biding our time. We're biding our time. People who don't have great power and resource have to be strategic.
When we decide to take action, you know.
Yes.
It's like we burn down the great house instead of moving people out and going at the great house to live.
Sometimes you have to burn the great house and build your own. Sometimes.
I don't subscribe to that, you know. I want to move them out of the great house and go in at the great house to live.
All right, so the great house come with certain demons that you have to contend with. All right, I got another call. Let me take it. But I bless you for contributing, and I thank you for the expression of confidence that it can change. I believe it can change, and I believe it is changing. This is a part of the change.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day.
All right.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My time?
Yes, it is your time.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. I just want to make some quick comment and touch and go.
Sure.
First of all, my comment on the war
in Ukraine.
In Ukraine there.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in my opinion, that I have often heard it said, and I believe it, that when a war is taking place, one of the first casualties of the war is truth. Have you ever heard that?
Oh yes, and someone this morning said on the note that a well-organized lie will move faster than a disorganized truth any day.
Okay, good. So the case with Putin, Mr. Benguer, I think, in my opinion, is a terrible leader, and I don't understand. But I don't understand when people are referred to him as being good. I'm not saying that is their opinion, and in my opinion,
right.
But what they often do is mention America, what America do in Iran, bomb place, and so on. It reminds me of the JLP and the PNP out here. Anytime you start to talk to one party about the light bulb scandal or the something down, when you do the mad people them or something like that.
Oh, that
the
them,
other one too.
yeah.
But
you bring up a host of your opponent's sins. Do you have can you wait for us to take our our break?
Okay.
It's now 8:30 and we need to take a break.
Okay.
Thank you
Best
so
FM
much.
100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Vegam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Vegam Printers, your best choice in printing.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all, you can call us on 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best FM.
Welcome back, and thank you for waiting for us through the break. Go ahead, you were making your point about
Putin and so on.
Putin and
so what I'm saying is between America and the other one, there's no better barrel, no better heroin. I think both of them are terrible. So when you have mentioned what Putin do or does not do, you don't have to mention about America.
Mm-hmm. It should stand on an analysis of what he's doing in his own country.
Because I think there are many people in Russia who don't like what's going on here, and they dare not go on the street to demonstrate.
So, for example, there was a report that his popularity in his country has gone up.
Yeah.
I mean, are we even in a position to say it's a credible report or an incredible one?
Well, I don't know. I'm not interested in that anymore because it's the first time hearing it. I'm not saying it's not true or so on. I'm not going that there.
Yeah, but you were making the point that a man is to be judged by his conduct in his own country, not in comparison to another leader.
I'm going to develop a point.
Oh, then let's hear it.
Pardon me?
No, let's hear it because you already said he's a terrible leader. So I'm assuming you have a standard by which you have judged him, other than by comparison.
That's what I'm going to do. When you have a man set up himself to change the constitution of the country to rule for almost indefinite period, and not only that, his opponents 99.9% of their opponent poison them, right? And where he is probably one of the richest man in the world and supposed to be running a communist or a socialist country. It's on that basis I make my point.
Oh, so what's the source of your information for that now? Because you don't live in Russia, and I don't assume that you have.
Okay, I don't remember the station that I heard it on, but that was for a magazine that they mentioned him yacht them and him money, and they have been seized in some countries. And I don't remember where I heard that he's probably one of the richest men in the world.
So it's based on other person's reports that might or might not be skewed against him or to the west or.
Right, but then all of us have to depend on those things and come to a conclusion one way or the other.
I know.
I don't live there.
I know. That is why we can't be so dismissive of other persons coming to a contrary conclusion.
I'm not dismissing them. I'm not dismissing. I'm saying it's my opinion. I'm putting forward on what they're saying. So that's just my opinion. Move it right along. Somebody mentioned last week about Mr. Putin has a secret for Mr. Biden and his son and so on, but which I'm not saying is true as lied, mark you. I am saying it look like therefore that Mr. Trump is on his way back into the White House then.
All right, okay. On that
The last point is pertaining to Miss Camilla Johnson and so on. That position and thing that she's running for. Most of us don't know what it is. Many of we go downtown to the market woman or the man are pushing hand cards as the conduct the bus. And even teachers and so on. Many of us don't know what is this British Commonwealth. More so what they call the Secretary General or whatever.
Secretary General.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. So I don't think it matters to me who becomes General Secretary or what have you.
Okay. All right.
You understand?
I like the point you're making that it is hardly relevant to the day-to-day concern of Jamaicans, so that should be a first priority. But the international relationships do matter, and some of us have the time to look at it, so we do.
Liz, I'm not saying it doesn't matter,
I know.
We don't know about it.
I understand. We were trying to say some things about it so persons could develop an awareness, but to me it still pales in comparison to taking care of Jamaicans right now today.
Okay.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. Good morning. Welcome. Yeah, it's always kind of saddens me when the calls can't endure the wait. And I apologize for that. It does take some time on occasion to get to the callers. Please, whoever was waiting, call us back because we want to talk. It's interesting that the war in Ukraine is taking so much of our time, but good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Bless the name of Jesus.
Good morning. I tried to call you. Didn't you see my missed call?
Sometimes the phone kind of busy. I have other people that call me. But I listen to you. Good morning, Pastor Percy.
Pastor Percy stepped out for a moment, but...
Good morning, Prophetess Minute.
You got the name.
I listen to you attentively this morning. And I listen to the fear of scripture verse that you use. You never call Ishmael, most of them come from, you quote from Zacharias chapter 9, verse 9, when the king riding in town. He never come in a chariot, he never come in a preparation like the queen will come with you and then fix you with fear.
And paint up wall. Yes, and have big dinner.
Christ never come that way there. You see, Prophetess Minute, we are in a serious trouble. And we know if somebody wants to change, just listen to all you speak and how you talk about positive situation in a Jamaica. You can't see that Jamaica destined for a change. Me not say we are not test glass to see that there's something about you. When I give you the name Prophetess Minute, me not just give it from my head top.
me assess you and observe the way you speak without fear, not favor. Change must come, but you see, first it begins with me and you.
Yes.
And if you read, and I want you to read Isaiah 49, verse 22 to 26 for me. And when you have the time, just read it, that people can hear that the queen and the dragon, the eagle, and the bear, and all of them, them got to pay back for what they have done to the Jamaican brothers and sisters. Jamaica is in trouble. You see, Wednesday morning when I call you, Prophetess Minute, and give my number, is a gen command that call me. And when he don't talk to me, the man said me sound like a deceiver and a false prophet. And I never call no radio station that deceive no one. I just call to share my input and encourage people and make them know that the only way we can go out, come out forward, we must trust the sovereign Lord, God Almighty, and work together as a team. And I give Almighty God the glory and the honor, the praise. So you, we are talking, and I hear you said something that repentance is good, but we have to, when we repent, if you use to kill people, them, some things that happen to the Jamaican brothers and sisters, in the 70s, when England did want assistance, and then come to the Jamaican brothers.
The Windrush, man.
And come and try them in England and then start have children and make family. They couldn't get the opportunity to be a British
citizen.
In a country. And you couldn't have children and then you couldn't get a place to rent up there. As somebody here we have gone and then they start talk and make it become public and then come. So all the world them talk and go on is hunger, and it's hunger the people them will stand for righteousness. You quote James Galatians chapter 5 verse 1. Stand in the liberty where Christ has made us free. Everything we then go to us, then we have to pay it back one way or the other. But we first must make change. When Christ said loose, you see, Christ did not part the two donkey there.
Yes.
He knew exactly where the two
He knew where, absolutely. It was not choreographed.
And if them want more evidence, then can read Psalm 139 from verse 12 to 14. If you spread your bed in hell, if you take the wind of the morning, wherever you go, is here, is the sovereign Lord God Almighty. The first must come and identify yourself. Have a problem in Jamaica, no matter who you want to put in. You see these politicians, they know what they are doing, They know what they are doing. So when you see them as Seneca, whatever, they know what they are doing because they are clever, they are smart, but they thought that is every one of us in Jamaica are fools. I am saying, Prophetess Minute, a whole heap of people are listening to this station every morning. Whole heap of people are listening to this station every morning. And then hear the message, how we have to do. Change can come, we can declare change.
All right, my brother.
2, verse 14 to 26. Faith, come by faith. Faith without work
is dead. All right.
You can't have faith and you don't have no work. You have to push out there. You tell the man, say, some of the great hosts, them, you can't live in them for demons, pack them up. You have to burn down some of the great hosts, them. Refurbish it and build it back.
I always enjoy your support and what you're saying because it's always on point scripturally. But I do have another caller that I want to get to, and I thank you for supporting our program and for even just I let you speak because you extrapolate on some of the ideas, and rather than me saying them all the time, it's always good to hear someone else saying it. And who knows, there is a listener who will hear you at a greater level, greater depth than when I speak it. So thank you for that support, my brother. I appreciate it.
I listen out for your call later.
Yes, I will try again.
Very important.
All right. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good day.
Sound like Rusty.
How are you?
I am well. How are you, my brother?
Not bad. Look here, I can't confirm nothing with this man saying.
Which one?
This one was talk a while ago. All him come, he's preaching him the part every day.
All right, so don't bother take him on now. I want to hear your idea and what you want to talk about because you had called before he spoke.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, forget about that. Hey, look here.
Yes.
Look for news where you get back on the BBC and CNN. You know. Most of the news are fake news, you know.
Well, you know.
Most of the news about Russia and Putin and do this and Putin and do that. War are fighting, I have a thing in crossfire. No five people were dead. Everybody was dead. Them blame Putin for it. I do the killing. A crossfire. We know you say Ukraine and make no mistake and kill nobody.
Friendly fire.
Or we know you say nobody else dead for the Ukraine war. All the people were dead. We say Russia kill them. And a crossfire.
Well, this is Rusty, right?
So Ukraine now kill nobody.
No, Rusty. This is Rusty, right? Pastor, I have to step out.
It's Rusty.
Yeah, but Rusty, but I tell you something. If you look at some of the numbers, 40,000 Russians have been reportedly killed as a result of the war. And
Who report that?
That's what you're asking me.
Who report it? No BBC and CNN.
No, it's not only BBC.
Pastor didn't hear your opening sentences.
No, but I'm saying there's a narrative that's being pushed, and we all agree there's a certain narrative.
By BBC and CNN.
And everybody, but you have independents like the Telegraph and other people who give you another perspective on what it is. That is why you have to look at it. But okay, you are saying only Ukrainians have been killed. No, Russians have been killed.
No. He was making the point that
man,
in war.
That's not what I'm saying, man.
Okay.
Yes, he didn't. He didn't hear you. Forgive him, Rusty. No, man. Nobody not gonna take you on for this. Forgive Pastor. He just came in.
Let me repeat what I said.
Yeah.
A while ago. I said all the people that died in Ukraine is Russia killing all of them. That's what they're saying. Ukraine not killing nobody, and there's a war going on. So they now make no mistake and no crossfire kill nobody.
Collateral damage is what Rusty is saying.
No, but that's why I'm agreeing with you, because I'm saying the Russians now going to kill themselves. You understand what I'm saying, Rusty?
Some of Ukraine, no, you know, mean Russian kill themselves. You know, say some of Ukraine dead down there, dead in a crossfire.
I agree with you.
By their own troop.
I agree with you. I agree 100%.
But nobody is saying that, sir. Everybody with dead.
No, man. People are saying it.
No, people
are saying it. They know the truth.
Rusty, if you're a critical thinker, you have a war going on. When you shoot a gun, the gun have and the thing, this must kill a Russian, this must kill a Ukrainian. So people are gonna die as a result of the crossfire. And as I'm agreeing with you, if the numbers reported that approximately 40,000 Russians have died as a result of the war already, I'm asking, did the Russians kill themselves? It must have been the Ukrainians.
Yeah, but 40,000 Russians are dead.
But that is what you see now.
40,000 Russians not dead, you know, sir.
It is alleged.
That is that news we show you say Ukraine is overcoming. That is the news. We say the Ukraine is overcoming the Russian them. They might tell you say 40,000 Russians dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're telling you. That's what the news is saying.
That they're overcoming?
No. When they're talking about 40,000 Russians dead, that means that the Ukraine them is succeeding in the war. Because they might kill the Russian them.
Anybody can succeed in a war, Rusty? Anybody can succeed in a war?
People succeed now because America go down Iraq, go murder a lot of people and take the island.
Yeah, okay.
Then yes, and you go back create and take the island over there. You know, succeed. When did one thing go for him get it, you know?
Yeah. But the fears wanted, they got it.
We got to Afghanistan. America have run out there, have to chase out of the place. They didn't accomplish nothing down there, you know.
Well, they should have taken their cue from the Russians who were there before them.
Well, listen, Rusty.
Yes.
we've been talking a bit about Ukraine and the analysis of the war. And the fact of the matter is, where we are in Jamaica and the news we get, we are constrained somewhat because at every turn, it is possible that the information is being manipulated to push a particular narrative. And we understand that. Some of us can use experience of other things and make an educated guess about policy and where things are going.
One more point.
Go
here.
ahead.
Look at the Petro carry. Look at the Petro carry deal. Good deal that we did have. Nice deal we have. Nice deal we have. Look what the government done with it.
Well, thank you for bringing it back to home, because that's what I was going to encourage.
And now they are them face hanging to go back over there to go back. The deal. Then shame can't go back. They want to go back, but they can't, because America gone down there and gone negotiate about tile, you know.
So them can't shame face like America and go back to.
No, America is just shamelessly audacious.
Yes.
They're gonna ask for what they want. And but Jamaica needs to find itself in the right position on certain things, and that is not even that's not scripture or morality or. We don't have to be Christians to be even talking about this. We just need to be sensible, responsible persons to know that you have to have good relationship with people based on some principles that are honorable, so you can enter the room and talk to them. America at least have political might and leverage. She can enter any room and be a bully or not.
Yeah.
But when you're small like us, you go ahead.
What about our interests?
We need to. That's the point I'm making.
What about Jamaica? What about Jamaican interests?
I'm all for looking at that, because I think when you are is a situation, that I think women are very well placed to understand. You're small. You're generally regarded as not having physical might. You have to survive based on skills and good relations and an ability to communicate and to be humble when you need to be humble. Jamaica small and we are attractive, so there are things we can do that others probably can't, and we need to figure out those things and take the right position. And it certainly is not behaving bad with CARICOM and breaking faith when you make an arrangement with us, because countries have integrity and reputation too.
True. That's so true.
Right now, Jamaica need to enter into a conversation with Venezuela. We need to. And we can't just be piggybacking on what the Americans do. Because if they lift the sanction for themselves, it is lifted. Anyway, you know that there are some relationships we can press. And I trust that those who have the authority and the power will use it wisely. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, good morning, my time.
Yes, your time. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. Yes, it was quite a wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
As Jamaicans and as we are here, as Africans here in Jamaica, I believe one of the greatest things that has ever been done to us, and why we will never be able to get out of this level of separation that we are, is our dependence on religion. Because we seem to always be waiting on some savior to come from somewhere. As PLO would call it, he said, we're waiting on voodoo economics. We're waiting on some Lord to come and save us. We need to put away this idea that the Bible is going to save us and we're going to wait on somebody to do. And if we put in the work on it, we can actually get better,
I hear that said a lot, and sometimes I even wonder what people mean by that, because there is nothing in the Bible that speaks against industry and persons taking charge of destiny and working to accomplish. In fact, the Bible says faith without works is dead. And I wonder.
Also says works without faith is dead. So we waiting on
faith without works.
Faith without works.
Because you said religion, and most people think religion means the worship of God the Father. Most people think that that's what it is, spirituality. They mix up the two. I don't know which one you mean when you say religion, what you're talking about.
Okay, let us talk about the one that is here then. The Christianity that was given to us by the people who kidnapped us and brought us here. It is one of the worst things. Everything else that they give us, we consider to be bad. We need to get rid of the education system, the road, the food, everything that they left us with is terrible. So why are we still keeping the religion that they left us with?
But nobody gave us religion. That's a misunderstanding of things. That's
not
no.
a misunderstanding.
Yes,
when
man.
my brother kidnapped us and brought us here.
Yeah, what
Our
religion
African
you got
religions
from
were
them?
Were outlawed.
What religion? Okay, go ahead.
No, man, he made a point that the other day I was looking at the Obia Act, which is not about religion, is about social control and cultural abuse or abuse of one's culture. I take that point because this thing about Obia and Mayalism and the outlawing of certain things which were deemed to be fraudulent.
But my brother, you speak. So when Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle and those people rose up out of the same religion to say, no man, this is not right. What do you say about that?
But the thing about it is that it is not the religion that cut. The religion was only used probably as a vehicle because the ability to gather people together, because it was the only way at the time for people to gather. So it was the only place that we were allowed to gather would be at church. So it was the only place that we could use to galvanize the people to cry for something.
But I'm saying it is that same book that a lot of us curse. Is it out of it Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle rose up and did what they did?
But then if we must speak of the book, right?
Yes.
The Bible itself, you said the book, the
Yes.
Bible.
Yes.
It is just Exodus 21 verses 7.
Yeah.
Tells you all you need to know about slavery.
Okay.
So I don't look to that book for any form of morality.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
So the question that I'm asking you, what do you use to determine how you relate in terms of people around about you? What is right, what is wrong?
By the same way I would want them to deal with me.
So you're a part of enlightened self-interest?
No, but where does that come from? The idea that you are to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Where does that come from?
It is simple, a human nature. Because if you take a child, you take 10 children who hears us. Remember, we're all born atheists. We know nothing about God unless we're told by other people,
I don't know about that, but that's how it is for you.
If you're telling me that if you take a child and grow them and tell them absolutely nothing about Jesus, is he going to know about it? Is he going to know about Jesus?
So
if you don't take a child and tell them about Muhammad, is he going to know anything about Muhammad?
Hold on.
All right, you're gone now into a whole different space. And I don't even want to ask you that because it is private to you and up to you. What is your position on how to achieve social change?
That we need social change. First thing, we need to stop over-depending on, because really and truly, the church has failed us.
Yeah, but you're gone back to that. I want to ask you, what is it that is at the heart of it for you?
We need to come together and work together in terms of we need to stop. It's like the gentleman I heard called a while ago. That's usually I called it. He was there telling you every part of the Bible and saying, no matter who come, we cannot make a difference unless the person is anointed or sent by or something in that line. Unless the person is anointed or look towards the Bible, there is no hope for the country.
So
I didn't get that from anything you were saying, but
that is what I got from what he was saying.
And I'm trying to understand why. It's funny that a lot of people who are opposed to matters of spirituality, which is
spirituality and religion are two different.
I know they're two different things, but you don't seem to be acknowledging either of them as being valuable because I asked you.
Valuable, not religion.
Then I asked you what for you would be something that could bring about change, and you're saying people need to get together. When people get together, they form gang, they form mob that carry out their own brand of justice. People get together for all kinds of reasons. What would cause them to get together for positive change? I gotta take another call now, but I want you to think about it, and if you can even call me back, because I would appreciate it, because we need to mobilize persons past this resistance to religion and this blaming of religion and church. It is a distraction. And we got to break that distraction.
Church, so the ills, if you are saying, okay, you said the Commonwealth and they are refusing to do everything, and let's withdraw off the Commonwealth and let's apologize for what they did. Let us talk about what the church.
No, I didn't ask them to apologize. An apology is cheap. When you change your perspective on a thing, you set about creating a right relationship with the persons you have wronged. We are calling it restorative justice. We call it reparatory justice. I am not interested in the church response for this conversation.
Not response, I'm saying responsibility.
Or I'm not interested in that because it is of no interest to you.
But
No,
we
I
are
don't-
agreed.
I
But if
The-
you've
the-
listened to the program enough, we are agreed that in terms of some of the church's action, it was wrong.
But history is clear on the role that they played. There's no hiding it, disguising it, or it doesn't matter. To you and me today, it doesn't matter the role that they played. We have to find a way to put ourselves in a position of right standing, spiritually or otherwise, so we can be a part of the change. I don't want to be distracted by what the Pope did 10,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago, or even what he did yesterday, because my freedom allows me to make my own choices. My freedom. And that's the freedom I am exercising when I speak to you and I say, step into the moment, understand who you are and what you can do. Do not be hampered by the things of the past that are causing us to be divided. I don't want us to be divided. If people are going to come together, that's unity, it's not division. And if they're constantly quarreling about who did do what and who's responsible for
Can't
what
move
and so on,
forward.
we cannot move forward. I got to take another call, though I do love the point that you've raised. Actually, it's a station break, so I have no choice in it. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Bass FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during, and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to ADPEM.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Vegam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Vegam Printers, your best choice in printing.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best FM.
Have a caller? Good morning and welcome back to The Morning Connection. To the caller online, welcome. Good morning.
Africa love my sister.
Africa love Ras Kremlin.
Yes. You know, one of the things, two little things I want to do.
Yes.
You see the program Thursday gone?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if you people could do a rebroadcast before the month finish.
That's not a bad idea, you know. Producer has solved the problem. Easter Monday, public holiday, we will do it on Easter Monday.
Yes, and I appreciate that. One more thing, I have to defend Brother Rusty, you know.
Yes.
Because if the authority of this world, which is the United States, is imposing sanctions, they are creating sanctions on Russia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we create sanctions, we can deliberately create things to create sanctions. Because even war, a war as this, which I call a limited war, right? Then the sanction fit in with what is really happening, or is it something that they had do? Kind war like this, you know. People will kill their own people to get a sanction mileage. People murder their own people, you know.
And it has, people have said it already too. Yeah.
Yeah, to discredit the other country. Right? And the next thing, the news what we are getting in Jamaica here. We have not heard that Ukraine is murdering Russians as soldiers or nothing like that. We're just getting a one-sided thing. What Russia is doing to Ukraine. You know, but the people in Jamaica are not fools. That's why I even have a virgin like Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who looking at the thing?
And our
Because
caller
it's a war.
from Santa Cruz as well.
Yeah, if it's a war, right? Why there should be sanctions?
The truth is, most callers have been fairly even-handed in how they analyze the situation, and they see the opportunities for manipulation of the information, and they see the risk
Disinformation.
for collateral damage when you are defending your own turf. And I've really not found the callers to be lacking in an understanding of how wars are fought and what can happen on the ground. The truth is, Jamaica is at war all the time. So we know what happens in communities. We know when kids are held up as shields against the police. We know when guns are hidden in your grandmother's room. We know all the things that can happen in a war so that persons can claim an advantage.
All right, look at this lady know what the government is promoting to be, what you call it?
Secretary General of the Commonwealth.
To the Commonwealth. How much people in Jamaica really know the role of the Commonwealth? What is the Commonwealth?
We're trying to educate people this morning. Yeah.
Right. The government don't try to educate the people, you know, to make them understand why they make this decision.
And why it would be beneficial to us.
And how it will be beneficial to the country.
Yeah.
They just do what they want to do. No, this is the same thing, you know, what America is doing. To gain mileage, but America don't have a fight with Russia, you know. A cold war go on between them, you know. America wouldn't mind if Russia fall. If the whole of the Russian people then dead and pure water full of Russia. That is America's objective. You understand me? So they will do anything worse than control the Western media.
Well,
Control people like we.
It's their media.
You know,
they tell the story from their perspective.
And you know, I want to introduce something here. We spoke about pharaohs, and whether we like it or not, there are some pharaohs who are the hidden hand behind of a lot of things that are happening. We see these things up front, and some of the times when you get behind what is happening, you say, okay, do we know that one of the things that is happening as a result of this war in Ukraine, Russia, is that the dollar will die as a measure of international commerce?
You see, Papa Percy, you see it. America try to save him dollar and him skin.
Okay. So,
but after this war, you know, Jamaica got better.
All right. Speak it into being.
Well, we just need to get our own government to help us hold it together, especially where fuel energy costs are concerned.
Because later, all this guy, American president, wait till November, I'm have a election to go through, you know. Maybe that's a thing done. Because I'm talk about him, I give an oil and him a this and him a that, to show like him sorry for country and 1 million barrel a day. All of this is to try to save America's skin. But the people have a rebel. The same American people are rebel against him. Wait till November. Give thanks, Africa love.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Lawrence.
Good morning. Sounds like righteousness.
Yeah, man, I'm Pastor and Mr. Lawrence, everyone, and the host, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, Miss Minute, no. You know, say, right now, even you have a media war and a verbal war. So even them people them when are criticizing other people and everything about that. I still war. A weapon, a verbal war, them have, you know. Because if you see like on Ukraine and Russia, I see them man trouble us, you understand? So people are trouble over the one that they want to this and that. But one thing with me never compare and deal religion. The religion and the religion and God is one. So when we think with a spiritual man, my God is a spirit. So but the point is, I love we promote that Jesus come and preach love, righteousness and peace. Jesus don't preach religion. I tell that church definitely deal with that church and that church definitely deal with no, Jesus don't come with that. You understand? So probably you know, but the people I love them to promote. Even the Prime Minister, I tell the church member them say every time to them children and the people and put love in them. We done that to them like long time. Say to put love because police and soldiers can't stop crime because they can't everywhere at the same time. Put love, not you them. That's that long time. So if the Prime Minister using as an ambassador, righteousness and in love in Jamaica.
All right. Thanks very much, my brother. I can always count on you to bring a certain level to the conversation because we talk about being covenant brothers and sisters under the Constitution of Jamaica, which is where I put my emphasis. And to the extent that we can influence how that covenant evolves and how it is implemented, I think that is where our focus should be just as citizens in the country. What we do in terms of our spirituality, that's a freedom that we enjoy, and no man has the right to dictate or dominate the conversation in that sphere. So thank you very much.
Miss, I'm before I go now. Nobody manipulate the program till who to talk and who to talk too long and you know talk to one.
All right.
You do the program before you know and one after you know.
Yes.
Some people can't talk. People feel express themselves whatever they want to.
Well, I believe in that freedom.
Yeah, they must do it until they want to talk on the Bible. The Bible is a great book. It tells us to love in your by yourself. Until they say you must covet in your and must put a stumbling block in time without here. They don't know the Bible and some people talk against the Bible. So bless righteousness.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, righteousness.
Okay, yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning. Second time around.
All right. Welcome back.
Two points. This government will never go back to Venezuela. It would have to be a change of regime.
Come on, we're speaking because we need it to know. You're my perspective on that. You see, life and death in what you speak, and we're going to eat the food. We are saying as Jamaicans, if that is the best thing for us as a country, we need to go back to them.
They will not do it. This present government will not go.
All right, so we hear your opinion on that one. What was the other thing?
That blind man that called from Westmoreland, I listen to him all the time. Russia cannot appeal to this two-party out. No time at all. Russia is way a better country than the United States and help more Negro and African black people. Putin is not the wicked man. The other, what I'm saying is, this man, every time I listen to him, he's biased to one side.
All right, so and he's probably saying the same thing about you.
I am not biased. If the PNP do something wrong, we talk against it, and if Labour do something wrong, we talk against it. Which in history of Jamaica, Labour does more wrong in this country than PNP. Both of them, but one more, and is that Labour right? Man.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Thanks very much for calling back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Blessed love, my beloved prophetess.
Good morning.
I listen to you this morning from your starting to finishing. Some people listen to what you want to get to the Jamaican brothers and sisters and get into their mental faculty. Them call it and them make it look as if why with the panel. A religious thing. It's not a religious thing with the pan. We are trying to tell people about the Commonwealth thing or them deal with the Jamaican brothers and sisters. And you use scripture to be a point, and you use things that happened way back when. So with the pan that part, we are reform, you know, and we are come together, unite together, you know, under one effort, you know. I listen to you attentively, and you know your talk, how you share out of your heart, out of your mind, and make the things simple. You share alphabetically, geographically, numerically. You share that so everybody can understand. If we're not talking about Russia and Putin and Ukraine, we are talking about Jamaica. What we are going to know with some of these school guards and AI and the gatekeeper them.
But you know my brother. When I listen to the callers analyze and show their sensitivity both in a spiritual way and in a natural way to what is happening in another country, it tells me that we have the capacity to do the same at home. We just need to step out of our own way, because sometimes, you know, a man is like you discuss your own situation by proxy. It is very easy for you to analyze and see the wisdom of a situation when you're looking at your neighbor's life. but you can't readily make that shift to look at your own life. So this morning, even as we're finding a lot of people are talking about Ukraine, but by the time they come to the end of the conversation, you can see that they are in the mood or they have the capacity to see how it relates to us. You have been in the field, so you know that we gotta meet people right where they are at the point of their need, so to speak, and then
Move them
walk with
forward.
them
Open the
to
dialogue.
move them forward, because we know that it is an all hands on deck situation. I can't risk alienating someone who might be the key to a move further down the road. So we exercise the patience and we just make sure that to the best of our ability we don't leave anybody behind. But even as they talk
No.
about war, they know too that there are casualties of war.
Sure.
You don't want to
know-
be
you
the
know-
casualty.
You know what I love with your humility and your patience. You listen to every person. Constructive criticism and the destructive one. But let us stay on the constructive criticism
yes.
and pull forward.
Absolutely.
Make us unite together. Make us reach out. Make us start at the beginning us in Jamaica. With the change there, you know, we can make it, you know.
We are
And,
going
you
to
know,
do that.
We are gonna
We're gonna do
we're
that,
gonna
my
make
brother.
it.
That's
Now,
what we say.
if you keep talking about me so positively, now people going to think I'm paying you. So I
No.
gotta say,
No, the truth is the truth, and it's what is in you comes out of you. And I salute you and Pastor Percy. I roll up a radio station, my device I heard over 20 years.
Yeah.
And I just love that program. I just love that ministry. Coming up see it as a program. I love that ministry. And we're going to pull forward.
Thank
How
you,
we
my
have to-
brother.
I just work.
It's gonna
Faith
work.
and work.
We have
And
to do
then
the
on.
work.
And I want you to read Isaiah 49, 22 to 26. And please.
All right, we're gonna do that. We will do that because I'm a fan of Isaiah myself. All right, my brother. Thank you again.
God bless you, my
God bless
beloved sister and Pastor Percy.
Blessings.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. George.
Morning, George. Morning, George. Morning, George.
Oh, what call me name a while ago?
Morning time. Morning time.
Your brother.
Morning
All
time.
right. Oh, okay. Adija Palmer.
Yes.
You must say present.
Present.
The boss himself.
Early parole.
Early parole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be forgiveness at work.
Yes. Mm-hmm. How everybody doing?
We're good, sir. We're good. We're good.
Well, we just giving thanks now. Glad for you look a rain boy.
Oh yes.
Oh, yes.
Some nice glad trees at the same time. When you see at the same time when I talk about them are going to lock off water because water shortage. So the most Yashua, the fast or rain for some people must make sure say no matter if you live uptown or downtown, get your pan and full up your water. No matter where you are, get your rainwater. You understand me? That's very important. This is what I'm hearing this morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are people who write songs and songs become very inspiration. Yes. The song I want to hear this morning is Redemption Song.
All right, sir.
Darling.
I get the request.
Yes.
All right.
And the words, mental slavery.
Mm-hmm.
None but ourselves can free our mind. You know, ourselves, you know. So you have to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
What you going to do?
Yeah.
You have to make a decision what you're going to do. Because what? The messenger bring forth the message.
Yeah, but you
Did
know,
you receive the message?
and what I like about that line, it said none but ourselves. So it's not really a one-man journey.
Ourselves.
Exactly.
It's community work, and it
Yes.
means that a lot of patience is required because persons are gonna be at a different place in the journey from others. If I'm a little farther ahead of you, I must be able to pull you up, and the person who is a little farther ahead of me should be prepared to pull me up. So it can truly be a communal effort, and you know that's why we do what we're doing. And I thank you for making that request and for emphasizing it, because when it comes to the Commonwealth, no, I'm not saying that a combination or a community of people who have a shared experience is not a good place to fight for change and to execute change. I'm looking at the dynamics of it because it continues to be headed by the very system, personage, family that was at the root of the oppression in the shared experience. And we don't see in that construct the elements, the evidence of the repentance and the righting of the relationship, meaning the righteousness, the restoration of right standing amongst the persons in that group. And if you're in the group, insist on it. And if you can't get it, come out of the group. That's the freedom and the strength that we're looking for in our leaders, both at the local level and at the national level, and it must transcend into the international sphere, where you have the authority and the boldness to recognize what is wrong, what is right, and fight for what is for the good of your people, so we can truly free our minds.
Because
it's so simple it is. You don't have to have a master's degree to understand.
Absolutely.
It's just simple logics.
Right. And an important thing George, is that you look at opportunity costs. Are there any real opportunities in the Commonwealth for us at this point in time? And we have to sit down as a country and think about it.
Well, we're in there. We don't contribute to the cost of it. We are there like as beneficiaries. We want to get stuff from it. But can we get that same stuff anyway?
Yeah.
Because guess what?
The ACP
for the world to work together and to enjoy certainly the emerging globalism that is present.
Or the emergent. Emergent. It don't emerge already.
Yeah. But it's getting deeper and stronger, and borders are becoming irrelevant now, even as virtual reality is taking over things. For it to work, people have to have relationship with one another all around the world for one reason or another. So there is some benefit to people
being in
groups, and so I can get what I want without necessarily having to be in a club with you.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So
it's kind of important. But George, as usual, you are very insightful. And that song selection is very powerful.
Yeah, we're going to play a song for you this morning.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, my brother.
Pastor, you sound symbolious.
You sound what?
Symbolious.
Symbolious?
Yes.
What is that?
Look in my dictionary.
All right. He will do the research in the meantime. Thanks, George.
Symbolious.
All right. Cool.
Good morning,
George.
and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
That's about my brother. I hear a guy talk something. Me not go talk about me like for this morning,
Then draw you out.
Then draw you out, Chippy.
Yes, man, enjoy me out, bad man. Constable by the Jamaica Labour Party have done more wrong. Since I've been blind, make me tell him something.
Oh, who said that?
Somebody said that? Somebody said that?
If culture having people, no, it's a proverb, you know.
Okay.
If culture having people, you see, and because he hate me, he kill some genuine people just to put blame on me. What would you call him? Notorious person?
A notorious person? You mean if somebody kill a person to make you look bad them own people?
Yeah, killing one person.
Mm-hmm.
You mean commit suicide?
To make it look
Or
bad
genocide.
make it look bad for you, and you is not the person who don't guilty of that.
Wow.
What would you say that person? You look at that person.
The person who has killed himself. I would be very sorry for them.
No, that person killing himself. The person who
kill him
sent
own people.
go and kill
His own people.
him friend. To make it look bad for you, which way you are not innocent. Which one it who is the wicked person? Put it that way.
All right.
Person who killed the people there.
I feel like Sheppy trying to trick us.
All right,
Make your point,
all right,
Sheppy.
Let me say it plain.
Make your point, my brother.
Well, let me say it plain.
Yes.
You know what happened at Green Bay?
But who was talking about Green Bay this morning?
No, our the guy come said that, no, I went talking, me talking, come said the Labour Party wicked and then the PMP. Let me tell him certain things. Me go through some things, you see, man. Some PMP send me something, them say they're running at people here with some machine. And people beg them, the one party beg them, don't save them.
Sheppy. All right.
Yes, sir.
Is there a current issue you want to discuss? Because you're gone in the past. In the future. No, man. You said. Hold on. All right. The past. Sheppy.
I don't know who Sheppy heard say what because that I never hear anybody talking about the wickedness of the JLP.
Tell me something
I
good that's
heard somebody say that each time you say one wicked, the other one draw fit the greater wickedness of the other, which is exactly what you're doing today. And somebody was saying that is not a good way to. Yeah, I've heard. He's the one. He said that
the GLP is more wicked than the PNP.
Sheppy, what the gentleman was explaining to us, he says it is not a useful thing to have a discussion by comparing one to the other, where each one just say, well, you did this and the other one did that.
But me know what happened, and you can't tell me what.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that Sheppy, this is Sheppy, this is not the morning for us to pick over the wickedness of the PNP versus the JLP. I want us to stop doing that.
You might not see that way, but when he talk like that, there are people who are listening to him.
Yeah, and I hope that the persons who listen to the program, Sheppy, all right, Sheppy, I hope. Turn down Sheppy for me, please, because this is not Sheppy's program. This is the Morning Connection. My hope is that the persons who listen to us, they are here to listen to Percy and myself give a fresh perspective on old things. And we're saying this is not the morning to pick over the competition between who more wicked.
Yeah, we're not going there.
We're not doing it anymore because it keeps us stuck at a place that we need to leave. We know the history of it, and everybody can find the history of it. We're not saying the history is irrelevant, but the history has taught us that none better than the other. So we need newness. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yeah, good morning again, Mr. Lawrence.
Morning, Raspal.
Paul.
Yeah, this is a Jamaican program, Yeah. It's not
We're fighting it for it to be that way.
Yes, a Jamaican program. Yeah. So people in the diaspora and people, Jamaica people now. So what me that say now, right? Because you have to educate the people now. And that is what the program is about. No. But I was saying that is Jamaica full of so much corruption, from top to bottom. That the constitution we have set. We have a right constitution, that's the people constitution, one law for rich, one law for poor, one law for the politician, one law for the policeman, one law for the doctor, nurse, everybody. So what's going to happen now, we are going to set up a law that if we are going to impeach a MP, a prime minister, or a president, like how the judge deal with justice, and the justice have the peace. Everybody in the community and them deal with justice. You have to call them justice, You have to call it to them a judge, though. Right?
True.
Now, them are going to have an impeachment vote. Right? That means, whenever time...
Raspal, have you called to repeat what you said earlier? Because we have another call.
I'm not repeating. No,
man, you spoke about the impeachment vote with the justice of the peace. I got that.
Yeah, we heard that.
I got that. We heard that, man. We
so what's
heard
the
it.
point that you're making now? The other point.
No, listen now.
We're listening.
Just let me go all out.
No,
we have another caller, and this is your second call, my brother. So we can't spend time on the point you already made. If you have a fresh point, you have to make that one for me.
The fresh point.
All right. Thank you
good.
so much.
Good.
Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Morning.
Good morning.
Sheppy. The problem with Sheppy,
I don't like how you're starting, but I will.
No, make your point. Sheppy has made this point, and we have said to him, Sheppy, we are moving forward. What is the point you are making, my brother?
Sheppy must realize this is not a political program.
Okay.
Because what happened with Sheppy, him a airman nationwide, and him can have a wheel of a time, and the host and nationwide facilitate him and all of these things.
Okay.
Because that's the station that them bring on the art with the time by the Prime Minister office and so and so.
Yes, yeah.
So when him go in that station, he can just talk everything and the host accommodate him and facilitate his argument.
Okay.
You understand?
So that's the freedom he enjoys over there.
But when him go on other station now, him don't get that luxury. Because I hear the Rasta man will come on after 10.
Rasta Black?
What name again?
On this station?
Yeah, on this program.
Oh, Bunga Jerry.
Jerry, I hear Jerry run him off one day. Run him off hard, because Jerry say, I'll have none of it. Whether you have PNP or GLP, none of them something less.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So you keep going around. And
Well, thank you for
killing
sharing.
time.
Thank you for sharing that with us. What are you sharing with us beyond that now? I appreciate the
That's just what I
insight.
want to highlight.
Oh,
What
thank
to
you.
highlight.
All right. I appreciate it. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello. If you don't have any callers, you can go for the break. It's 8:30.
We're on a break.
Oh, it's time. Is it time for the break?
Yes.
Oh, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We on the pastor.
We are well.
We're
Pastor.
good.
You know what I tell you how we Jamaicans the word sentiment.
Yes.
That's a lot of Jamaicans.
My brother, I don't. Oh.
You call when we're on the break. Can you hold, please?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Bass FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-time taxi service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all. You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
Looking to clean your vehicle super clean? 123 Clean Car Wash, located at 2 1/4 Osborne Road, Kingston 10. Entrance on Grove Road, below Tropical Battery. They wash and vacuum, undercarriage wash, engine wash, polish and compound, shampoo and detailing. Call them at 876-631-3400. 123 Clean Car Wash, the best in the business for a cleaner wash.
Believe me, it's so easy. 1, 2, 3.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats.
Welcome back to The Morning Connection. Thank you for holding, my brother.
All right. What I call for is to dedicate something to the teacher, people like you, soldier, and the father and mother.
Okay.
You know the song on Impossible Dream?
Yeah, Dream the Impossible Dream, yeah.
Yes. Did you request that song before?
I mean, you requested last time.
Yes, that's what I thought, and we played it.
But I know
Play it again.
I know it is a powerful song, and to the Prime Minister of Ukraine.
Yes.
And why I said if Jamaican leader would take a book out of Mr. Lewinsky's speech, would that be a better country?
Well, I tell you. Yes, that man has made it clear that he is laying down his life.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Going to the mat for his people.
So before the program, and I wanted to play this song for the teacher, for the policeman, for the good father, for the good mother, and you and Pastor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then.
Thank you very much for that tribute.
Bless up.
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection. Good morning. While we await the next call, I'm going to quote something from an article in today's paper by Mr. Ronald Thwaites. It's a question he has posed, and it's very much a question we just posed. He says, how does the national interest, which both Andrew and Mark speak of, prevail when we adopt antagonistic positions, each Jamaica entrenched in their own truth, so becoming prisoners of their positions, confusions, and dissatisfactions? How does walking together become possible? That is the question. He answers it. He said, well, it isn't possible. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Neville?
I'm good, and a little bit of work stress, but I'm good otherwise.
That's good, man. That means the money running. Bless God.
Money can't, Pastor.
Yes.
You see this money thing?
Yes.
Money is a thing in my world. We can't stop running.
Aye.
Yeah, man. May I tell you about Neville now? Say, how me set up my thing?
Yes.
I live a simple life.
Aye.
I take my JUTC bus, and I go to work, and I share my skills with other people and teach them how to live a simple life or how to earn money and educate themselves. That is my formula.
Yes.
You know, Neville, as you speak, you are living the meaning, the fulfillment of that Galatians 5 verse 1 scripture that Pastor Percy read. You are living in a way that will not cause you to become enslaved again.
No, I'm warning to your listeners and your callers. And listen to me, I will tell you now. Listeners and callers and Miss Minute. All the listeners. You see the mathematics of the Jamaican system? It is wrong. And the quicker the Jamaican people fire all the labor right them and the PNP them out of them world, out of them mind, is the better off it is for them, because all who are lead with Andrew Holness and Mark Golding, they are capitalists to the core. They are pristine capitalists. And all them are dealing with is the accumulation of wealth and not paying attention to the inequity in the Jamaican system. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
I live in Portmore here. And Portmore is slowly but surely becoming a rotten nest. 90% of the business is in Portmore, St. Catherine. Is informal, illegal, cannot meet the minimum wage requirement, don't issue pay slip to them workers and enslaving people. And guess what is the beauty about Portmore, Miss Minette, Pastor?
What is that?
Portmore is the most educated, knowledge-based society in the Western Hemisphere, believe it or not.
Yet the environment is falling into decay.
University graduates and academia in the Western Hemisphere as a community, as a single community. And look at the state of Portmore.
Yeah, you're making a very interesting point there. What?
Right now I am on Passage Fort Drive near Cayman Park. And the road and the gully is in a filthy mess. And we talk about we have a mayor of Portmore. The mayor of Portmore needs to resign now in the name of God. Mr. Michel, you need to take away yourself out of Portmore and go plant cassava.
Go plant cassava.
But that farming is a very noble occupation, sir. It's not punishment. But Neville, I want you to give me an insight into what accounts for the most educated community in the Western Hemisphere looking like a rat nest. What is happening?
Well, because we don't have any community integration around here.
Okay.
We don't have any major community neighborhood what everybody thinking about themselves, living a single life.
And that is not a function of government, is it?
No, it's not a function of government, Miss Minette, with due respect. It is a function of homeowners in a community who need to ensure that they protect their property value. Because let me tell you this as a student of accounts. Me, Neville, you see, I study accounting to the ACCA Level 3, Institute of Certified Chartered Accountant. You see, your finance minister, the Honorable Nigel Clark, He never study accounts to that level yet. He study mathematics. And let me tell you this. You see the money that Nigel Clark budget for, boy, my budget for how much $1 trillion and all them from there. Him don't have $1 fitting in the vault at the Ministry of Finance. And people property and people tax him a budget offer. People lifestyle.
But a while ago, Neville, you made the point.
Yeah.
You made the point that there are highly educated persons in that community. So we know that it is not an academic approach or let's call it then an knowledge and awareness coming out of formal education that is missing in Portmore. So you said persons are not working together. So is it some kind of selfishness? Is it a lack
Yes.
of morality? What is it that you would point to?
Miss Minute, it's part selfishness. It's have become narcissism.
Ooh.
And you know what these governments are doing, PNP and JLP government.
Feeding on
They're
that.
watching people property, the middle class. Because once you earn over 8 million a year, you know, they don't like it, you know. What they do now, they burn you with taxes, they burn you with property tax, light bill and water rate, everything that they can tax, and stuck away your revenue. While the informal economy around in Gregory Park and Nagazed and all these places where they will vote for them and put them in a power. Thief light, thief water, no pay no rent, and you who live in your buy house or mortgage house in Portmore, them suck away your revenue, and when you can't pay them, take away your house from you, and them are govern you under these generalship and these skullduggery. That's what they're doing.
So now,
there's no government or opposition.
so now
They
you're
want to
describing.
scammers.
So Neville, now you're describing like two Portmore. You're saying there is
Two societies.
there are two societies. There's an informal one that is probably contributing to the chaos and making no contribution to the tax basket. And there's the formal one populated by these educated people who are narcissistic and no community, no connection, it seems, between the two or even internally within the formal one, which could be the fulcrum for change. You have two
Yes,
Portmore now?
yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the informal is bigger than the formal here. Because let me make a hot thing with you.
Yeah.
Right now, as I stand up here, I live off $150,000 a month. That is my living standard. When I check my pension with Sagicor, the National Housing Trust, you know what is my pension if I should reach pension age today, how much I would get?
One third
I
of that.
would get approximately $45,000 a month. That means my lifestyle would drop, you know. How you explain that mathematics? Whereas Andrew Wallace pays him pension till him dead. How you explain that mathematics?
All right, sir. I think that is a very
You know, it's a trick to the system.
it's a very compelling scenario. It's very graphic for Jamaicans to look at and to understand what is
and
happening.
Let me leave you with this suggestion, you see?
Yes.
You see, if Jamaica was running properly,
Yes.
and all of the Minister of Finance on both sides was sitting and coordinating the interests of the people of Jamaica and not to Labour right on one side and PNP on one side.
Yes.
You see, the minimum wage today, $9,000 a week, would be the minimum NIS pension. That can happen. And we can tell you.
Yes.
Me can tell you as a student of accounts.
It can
next
happen.
Time,
Yes.
how that much can work. And Nigel Clark can't tell you. Because Nigel Clark don't have that interest of the population in a team balance sheet.
Yeah.
Him have him shares them where him have done on the stock market in a team balance sheet.
All right.
And
Well,
the
I don't
interest
know.
and capital is friend them. Let tell you that.
I don't know
I'm
anything
afraid of
about
that.
his balance sheet.
All right, but
All right, Neville. Thanks for that point. Yes.
Hello, Miss Minute.
Yes, sir.
Miss Minute.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Listeners. The Prime Minister who lead in this country, Andrew Holness, and the leader of the opposition named Mark Golding, the business that they operate is not registered in Jamaica, you know, but
St. Lucia.
they are registered in St. Lucia. So them can't talk to me. The
You know-
I'm take my minibus and the JUTC bus and walk up on the road. I'm fully qualified. I live a simple life. I get food, clothes, shelter, and tender loving care like anybody else. Abundant.
All right.
I mean, I beg nobody nothing. And what they are doing to the people of Jamaica is totally wrong in the name of them dirty politics. And all who support them need to
Wake
take
up.
yourself out of this world and out of this country.
All right, sir.
Wake
We're
up.
speaking.
All right.
Blame Putin and all them people.
All right.
Because them are defense for them people in the name of God.
Okay, Neville.
right,
Thanks
thank
very
you.
much for your contribution this morning.
One
We're
final-
kind of in the last stretch. One more call. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yes, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to your big up your co-host.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. Interesting observation coming from your last caller.
Several. Which one caught your attention?
Neville's one?
All right, I could deal with at least, I don't know if it is legal to register a company in other countries still.
No, it's not.
Yeah, man. If it's legal, what
It's
did
not
you say?
illegal. It's not illegal.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, no,
All
it's
right.
not illegal.
So anyway, the next point, now the most interesting part of his observation is Portmore and its academic achievement.
Mm.
He's saying Portmore is the biggest, one of the biggest black of educated people worldwide are in the Caribbean.
No,
region.
in the Western Hemisphere, he says.
So you have anything can cover it that?
If I have anything,
We don't. He's just saying.
that's the point he made.
So you are going by what he said.
No.
You are going
Anyway,
by
be-
what he
any-
says.
Anyway, be that as it may, still you say enough educated people I shouldn't say enough middle class people are in Jamaica who can more afford to make Jamaica better. I
Yes.
think that's the long and short of the
That's
story,
what
but
he's
they
saying.
won't.
We're in agreement with that point.
Pardon me?
We are in agreement that enough people who are in the middle class can make Jamaica better. If
We have
Yes.
enough persons here with education, knowledge.
Yeah, middle class.
yes.
And Perkins says in the middle class let down Jamaica because they won't show the leadership.
Correct.
That's why Jamaica is what Jamaica is now.
True.
There's leadership. We need if the middle class in a society doesn't show leadership, then the ruling class gonna collaborate with them and mash up the whole corruption and everything.
Yeah, the man in the middle is important in the chain.
Yes.
He pulls up those behind him and he pushes forward to get to a higher
Yeah,
level.
but generally speaking, you look on Portmore and in the general area of Portmore as the next get to and the we are security force in a wholly problem, you know.
Well, and that's what I was struck by what Neville was saying is that while you have this great pool of educated people, you have another set of you have chaos happening on the fringes, and it is permeating the society to the extent now that the place is becoming a rat nest. And you're making a similar
Some
point.
tell them and they said what them surveillance camera shine out there till them say they're not taking them off and dead them all dead.
And a young man was killed for not taking down his.
Yes, but I could go to Sheppy now. The green man, Sheppy said about what the PMP done. You know, in the 70s when the political violence was at its peak, you know, both parties used to issue their individual statements.
And
And it goes like this. Tarman goes like this. We condemn political violence. However, we are the victim, not the aggressor.
Mm.
So Sheppy remind me of the 70s.
So each one saying the same thing and feeling
Yeah,
that
so
it is
tell
there,
Mr. Sheppy,
it's
say with the
righteous.
greater respect to him, he should give people who have most important thing to say on the program.
All right,
We
my friend.
condemn political violence. However, we are the victims, not the aggressors.
Not the aggressors.
Interesting.
All right, my brother. Thank you for sharing with us this morning. I know you called more than once, and I appreciate the interest you take in what we're doing.
You are welcome.
You have a great day. We're at the close of the call it. We have two songs. Well, we have three because I was hunting down the song that Sizzler blessed us with on Thursday because it just stayed in my head. I'm not sure we found it. I think it's Russ Michael.
It is
New
along
name.
it's in the same vein as emancipate yourself from mental
Yeah.
slavery and the request about a vision and the one that the last one.
Did you find the Isaiah verses?
I didn't know. I found
Where
it.
is it? Can you bring it back?
Yeah.
Right. So we have like a couple of requests that we're gonna honor. There is a short passage from Isaiah 49, verse 22 to 26. We have Redemption Song, and we have Dream the Impossible Dream. Somehow we're gonna see what we can fit in this morning. If not, we pick it up on another morning because that's the contribution of the members who. Thank you very much to those online who have been blessing us with their thoughts and their contribution is interesting. Mr. Basco, may assume is a Mr. But I'm gonna go with it. Mr. Basco, hail up to you. Taki, Conrad, Perry the Pirate, Garth Grant, Keon Brown, Lancelot, all of you who have been talking it up. I've been trying to keep track of it. Suffice it to say, persons are locking in on the issues, and I think that when Jamaica is ready to turn, we are going to have many friends with us. To my brother who has anointed me as a prophetess, he requested verse 22 to 26 of Isaiah. So as we walk out the door, let us see what Isaiah was saying. Behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentile nations and set up my standard and raise high my signal banner to the peoples. And they will bring your sons in the bosom of their garments, and your daughters will be carried upon their shoulders. And kings shall be your foster mothers and guardians, and their queens your nursing mothers. They shall bow down to you with their faces to the earth and lick up the dust off your feet. And you shall know, with an acquaintance and understanding based on and grounded in personal experience, that I am the Lord. For they shall not be put to shame who wait for, look for, hope for, and expect me. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captives of the just be delivered? For thus says the Lord, even the captives of the mighty will be taken away, and the prey of the terrible will be delivered. For I will contend with him who contends with you, and I will give safety to your children and ease them. And I will make those who oppress you consume themselves